All right, we're going to take a little pause for a second so me and Chris can tell you about Anchor by Spotify.
Only the easiest way to make a podcast. You got everything you need all in one place.
Anchor has all of the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Also, hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast to all sorts of listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more.
So it really is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place.
And best of all, you're going to be surprised when you hear this. Anchor is totally free.
When we first got started, we paid for platforms to host our show that were not nearly as good and functional even as Anchor is. If you want to start your own podcast, then by all means, you should download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
In a world where nothing is certain, only music can help you to find the right way. The way you should follow today. This way will take you to the best genres of music from around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
Gentlemen, welcome to the epic season finale of Guns in Radio podcast. And now, give it up for your host, Chris Caputo and Dustin Bones.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an epic episode for you this week. Dustin, tell them all about it.
That's right, Chris. We got a lot of surprises coming for you tonight. A lot of great things in store in this episode. But first, we want to say thank you to Top Gun for that epic performance. And thanks to Jax for that amazing introduction.
Just give me my fucking money, man. I gotta go.
Chris, you pay the man. You tell you what, when you guys figure that out, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back right after this.
What kind of name is Bones anyway, Bertram? I mean, you guys are fucking lame.
Hey guys, do you want to get access to thousands of free bestsellers that you can listen to at any time from a huge and ever-growing catalog? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you do. Audible now includes podcasts, originals, and much, much more. They have a premium selection of bestsellers, and you can listen to thousands of titles from their ever-growing Audible Plus catalog. Whether you want to wind down, get motivated, or learn something new, you can listen across all of your devices with the audio app and never lose your place. So click the link in the description to get a 30-day free trial of Audible. Amazon Prime members will get 2 credits, good for any premium selection of any title that you would like, yours to keep even if you decide to cancel. They'll even send you a friendly email reminder before your trial ends. Also, the Audible Plus catalog of podcasts, audiobooks, guided wellness, and Audible originals are yours to listen to all you want with no credits needed. So what have you got to lose? Click the link in the description now to get started with your free trial from audible.com. Welcome back.
If you thought that intro was hot, shit's about to get even hotter up in here.
And I'll tell you why. Because we got to sit down with the members of Paradise Kitty and have a discussion with them earlier this week. And in just a moment, we're going to hit play on that. But before we do, for the last time of season 1, let's blow that whistle and ride that shout-out train one more time.
Whoop, whoop. It's a finale edition here, so this one could be probably the longest shoutouts we've had for a while. So to everyone in our first year of existence here on this podcast, a lot of people to shout out to. All of our past guests: Axel Ross from Guns N' Roses, Randall from the AFD Show, Jeff from GNR Central, Justin Haidt, Chris Lell from Pot of Thunder, your friend there, Rick Dunsford, Jonesy from Weird AF News, Matt Manzella, Steve, and the guys there from Bucket of Trouble, Franz and Roses, all our guests. Thank you for coming on to the show, and thank you guys for listening to those as well. All of our listeners, everyone on Discord, shout out to you guys, everyone who follows us on Twitter, Instagram, and our new Facebook. Like that shit if you haven't yet. A few more shout outs. I gotta give a shout out to the Izzy Stradlin concert petition people there. They've been very supportive of us for the last few months or so. Shout out to them. They've been reposting a lot of our stuff, giving us feedback, giving us some shout outs. I have to give a shout out to the Izzy Stradlin Appreciation Group on Facebook there. They're really digging our stuff, and they're always very helpful with everything. With our last week's cover artwork there, they helped us with that too.
Yeah, and they really share the shit out of our stuff too, and they've really supported us as well ever since we became aware of them, and they sort of came into our group here, our fold, if you will.
Yeah. 2 more quick little shout outs here though. To probably one of our biggest fans actually on Instagram, and I've shouted this man out like numerous times before, but he's always given us so much love, so much appreciation, everything. I have to give a shout out to @AxelRose2000 on Instagram. This guy is one of my favorite personal sort of GNR fan accounts, and he's always tagging us and stuff, always reposting some of our episodes and stuff. Gotta give a shout out to him. He's been very supportive of the last year. And last but not least, we forgot about Third Man Dan.
Oh man, never can forget about Third Man Dan.
It's amazing how 5 episodes in, we literally found our on and off third guy in this place, and it's amazing, to have him on here and there. I know it's been a while, but we're definitely going to have a lot more of him hopefully in season 2, because I know he's busy with his own podcast and stuff, so we try and work around all our schedules and get him on here. So definitely, you're going to hear a lot more of him in season 2 and probably hopefully the years to come.
No doubt. Well, with that, we're going to have to keep moving right along because we just got so much stuff to get to tonight. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to hit play on our first interview. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Guns N' Radio podcast, all the way from Los Angeles, the world's leading, if not only, all-girl Guns N' Roses cover band. You guys know who these girls are. Please welcome, from Paradise Kitty, Jenna, Syde, and Rachael, Rine. All right, we're on, guys, with Paradise Kitty. We've got the singer Jenna, and we've got Well, I shouldn't introduce you by your full name, Jenna Syde, and Rachel
That's
Rine.
my stage name. Yeah. Hi.
You mean to tell me genocide is not your real name? That's
Well, that's my
unfortunate.
name. Yeah.
Listen, I know her parents, and she could have very well have been named that.
This ain't rock and roll. This is genocide.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, that's a catch line. That's a good catchphrase there. That's a good one.
That's
David
a Bowie
Bowie.
line.
David Bowie.
Oh, yeah, yeah, good call. I didn't think of that. So, guys, we chatted for a minute about the everything is canceled right now because of the COVID situation going on. What are you guys doing while you're in quarantine and everything?
Well, I've been doing live streams from my home once a week, every Sunday at about 7 o'clock on my social medias. But it's recently switched to bi-weekly just because I've been working on other projects.
Well, I mean, at least you've got something going on there to kill the boredom.
All right.
Yeah, it was funny. We just had a meeting with our booking agent a couple nights ago, and we were talking to him about like when might we all get out there again, and he just basically explained to us that like every time they try booking stuff, they end up having it's like booking more things right now is just creating twice as much work because they're having to rebook everything that they had already booked for the fall. And so, we're patiently not harassing him and just waiting to get the green light to start like really moving forward with things like hopefully in the next couple months.
That
Yeah.
does make a whole lot of sense because being on the business side of that has got to be a nightmare right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I would assume for agents, it's creating like quadruple the work for them because every show they've booked has to be rebooked or canceled or moved or, terms are changing. So it's like really, their commissions aren't changing. It's just the amount of work for each commission has turned into a nightmare, I would assume.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's I can yeah. But guys, if you want to see what they're going to be doing next, and you want to stay up to date with Paradise Kitty and see when they're coming to your area when all this blows over, for the best updates, you can go to their website. It's paradisekattyband.com.
Yep, that's it. And you can
And
check us out also on all of our social medias on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We post there pretty much every other day. So we'll keep you guys up to date.
right, and you can find links to all of that in the description of this podcast to make it real good and easy for you to find. I was watching the news today, and I was seeing that. I mean, you guys have a lot of wildfires out there. Is any of that affecting you guys or anybody you know right now yet?
Well, the air quality out here has been pretty nasty the last couple of months, but California seems to have a fire season every year that we're pretty used to by now. In my hometown in Santa Clarita, we get hit really hard every year, and they just had the Castaic fires up there that lasted about a week. That was pretty heavy.
Oh.
I don't have anybody personally that has lost their homes, or at least not for a long time, but it's kind of crazy out here in the summertime. It gets pretty hot and pretty dry.
Especially this week, we're in the middle of a weird heat wave, so it's like
Oh,
118 degrees in the valley right now.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
where
bananas.
I live. I'm in the basin right there, and it's crazy hot.
Well, we hope you guys are safe and everything from that. I always heard that LA, you could tell the seasons because it's either hot or shit's on fire.
Or earthquakes. Don't forget earthquake season.
But
Oh,
those
yes,
aren't really
I didn't think
seasonal. I mean, would you consider that a season, Jenna?
Well, growing up out here, I tend to notice it comes in waves every between May and August. It's all summertime. Summertime is kind of crazy here, especially if you're living on the San Andreas Fault, which runs right through Hollywood. So,
Have you guys ever been playing a gig or something and have like an earthquake hit or something while you were on stage?
No, not that I can
Never
tell.
on
Besides,
stage.
yeah, besides Rachel's drum, besides her kick drum.
I
That
have been
rumbles
on
us pretty
stage
hard.
though before, and it was back when I was playing with Femme Fatale, and I got on stage and I was like, oh my God, did I really drink that much last night? Because everything just started moving. And I was like, this is bad. What is going on? And I looked up and the whole crowd was like swaying side to side as well. And it was because we were on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and the boat was like lifting anchor or something. So the whole ship. So I literally had this like wave of green float over me, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad. This is real bad." And I looked up, and everyone was swaying too, and I was like, "Oh, it's just the boat moving. Okay, we got this. We got this."
Oh, geez. Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, how did you guys get together as a band? Like, how did you find everybody and organize your crew?
Jenna, I'll let you
Well,
take this one.
yeah, well, it was a dark and stormy night, and 5 kittens heard the call of a Les Paul across the streets of Hollywood. I'm joking. No,
I'm joking. It was just a trash truck.
yeah. What got us all together is well, a friend of Rachel's. They were starting a band together, and she was also a mutual friend of one of my friends. And I got the call that Rachel needed a singer for a all-female Guns N' Roses tribute. And so I said, hell yeah, I'll come in and try out. And went to rehearsal, rolled in, and Rachel and I became kismet because she's the backbone of everything that we do, and we took off from there. We've had a couple different lineup changes throughout the years, but it's just because girls have other projects playing, and we've
if you
picked
think
some
about
of the
it though,
best.
Jenna, like we had lineup changes. I mean, so when we decided to see if this boat would float, we learned all of Appetite. We only had 4 rehearsals, and 2 of those rehearsals were auditioning different members. And then between those auditions and the show, we switched out one of the members, like the rhythm guitarist, I think. So we really only had like 1 rehearsal, full band, and all of Appetite front to back. And we went and played a show out in the desert because we just kind of wanted to see how it felt, to see if it would fly, because if we did this, it was important to us for it to really sound right and to feel right, because we didn't want to get out there and like do some kitsch version of a band that we all love. So we really wanted it to have integrity. So we kind of just threw it together and played this show in the middle of nowhere to kind of test the waters for ourselves, and it went really well. But we continued to like swap members from there on out, just like availability. And some people could only play on a Tuesday, but that doesn't work when you're getting fly out dates for weekends or doing full tours. So it was really more of like availability issues that have caused Jenna and I to be the staples, and for us to just hire a bunch of other girls depending on who's available. But we only take girls that make it feel right. That's our one rule, is it's got to feel good and nothing campy or cheesy.
Have you guys always just like kind of gelled? Was it just like a lucky break, like kind of like with the real GNR when they got together, how everybody just kind of gelled together pretty easily?
Well, Rachel and I definitely, because both of us come from other bands that have been playing the circuit for a long time, and we're band leaders ourselves, people who are motivators and the ones that kicked ass and moved their bands forward. So it was nice to have a counterpart, somebody else who had that same ambition and drive. And so she and I clicked right off the bat, and from then on out, it was me and her gung ho. We'll make this happen. We'll get this going because it's something awesome.
Well, when you guys started touring, is there anything that kind of happened that you weren't really expecting? Like, what's something that a person wouldn't think about you'd have to deal with when you're on the road?
Cold cut food fights.
I mean,
backstage and in hotels.
One night in Texas. I think for me, the most surprising part of this is how well we have been received by the Guns N' Roses fans, and also by the Guns N' Roses members themselves. They've really embraced what we're doing. After we did that first show, we weren't going to do this project without their blessing, because Guns N' Roses is those guys. It's not us,
Oh yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that they were cool with what we were doing. If not, I mean, I don't want to be covering their stuff if they're like, what, why? Like, can you stop, please? So we did that first show, and someone sent Axel some video from that first show, and at first he was like, I think he was a little on the fence. He was like, I don't sound like a girl. Why are girls covering us? How's this going to fly? And then once he heard it, he in that first show, I'll be honest, it was really shaky. I mean, we had one rehearsal. Really, we played all of Appetite front to back. That's a lot of material to learn, and
Oh yeah.
some of those songs have dozens of different parts that make it feel like if you're learning multiple songs. So, um,
Yeah.
he heard some of our first set, and he started tweeting about us.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
to me, that was the green light of like, go ahead. We got the seal of approval from the man himself. So, um, but
Yeah.
like Slash is a fan, and Adler wants to come play with us at some point in time, and Frank's a buddy, and like it's great. They all love that we do this, and they support it, and they're like super down with it. So, that feels good that they gave us their seal of approval. So I think to me that's like the biggest shocking thing from us doing this is that they're super cool with it and they support us doing it, and their fan club has had us come play like kickoff parties for their tour and things like that, which is
Yeah.
really super cool to me. That's a huge honor. So
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
you're right. That's probably the most unexpected is how warmly received that we've been. Yeah.
yeah.
When you guys have played or interacted with the band, is there anybody in particular that has sort of stood out to you guys that you interact with the most?
Well,
You go
that's
for
a
it,
hard
Rich.
one. Yeah, that's a hard question. Well, probably Dizzy because we tour with him sometimes.
Yeah.
So, we definitely do the, we'll go out with Hookers Blow and do some shows with them from time to time. But I've kind of known all of those guys and their different counterparts on different levels like for years. So, I can't say that we're the best of friends, but we, living in Hollywood for this long and working in the music business, you're bound to cross paths. So, I guess, like Slash's band members, the Conspirators, are good old friends of mine as well. So they're always, when they are doing Conspirator stuff, they would always like, their rehearsal rooms across the street from my drum room. So I'd always like pop in and say hi, or they'd come over and say hi to me. And,
Oh,
that
that's
was always cool.
Yeah, Brent he was a really great guest that we had one time too at the Viper Room. He came up and did a couple of sets with us. So that was they're always really awesome to us.
Yeah, so they're great guys, and like I said, Dizzy, we tour with him from time to time, so that's fun when he does his Hookers and Blow stuff because they'll do all the piano GNR songs, and
Yeah.
we will do all the non-piano songs, so our sets don't conflict with each other. But like, I'll jump up and play a tune, or Jenna will come and sing and give Dizzy a break, so we all just jump on stage with each other, and it's a lot of fun. And one night Dizzy gave us like such a huge compliment that he's over the years has played with every Guns N' Roses tribute band you could imagine.
yeah.
And he was like, he's like, I'm sitting up in the dressing room listening to you girls before we go on stage, and you girls play with the right feel, and not many of the bands do that. And you look cool, and you aren't like wearing a Slash wig and trying to look like him and trying, it's not campy. Like, we don't try to
Right.
emulate them on stage. We just do our own thing. People know who I am as a drummer. They know who Jenna is as a singer. So
Yeah.
we get up as us and play songs that we love, but we try to play them well. And so Dizzy kind of gave us the seal of approval that we're playing everything right, and that the feel sounds good, and it's really like a pleasure for him to listen to us. So that's kind of super cool.
That
Great
was really
compliment.
cool.
That's something you said there that I really do agree with. That's I think does make you guys stand out. Besides, obviously, the being an all girl band is that you don't try to be anybody else. That you are just being yourselves and everything. And I think that really helps too with the the audience more accepting you guys as, if not the top of the tribute artists, then at least one of
Thank
the
you.
most
Thank you very
tributed
much.
artists.
Yeah.
Have you have
Yeah,
you
that
guys
that was
ever?
that was one of my rules when when I got the first call about starting this band. Is I was like, anyone that's in the band, they have to play the parts and they have to play them well. Like, Guns N' Roses is made up of 5 very specific components, and each of those components has to be right, or else the machine doesn't work. So, to me, it was really important that like no sliding by writing your own solo, or like everyone has to play their parts and play them well.
Right.
And I didn't want to get out there and have some like goofy like she Adler name, or I mean, I didn't I just that just felt so cheesy to me. And like I said, like, people know who I am as a drummer before Paradise Kitty. So, it was important to me to just like, that whatever we did, it was cool. It wasn't campy, it
Yeah.
wasn't weird, it was no wigs involved, no none of that bull. It was just really integral and musically integral as well. So
Yep.
Have you guys ever been approached with being in LA? Have you ever been approached by anyone about possibly recording something on your own, like maybe something original, maybe in that same rock and roll spirit as GNR or the
all the
80s
time.
band?
Yeah.
All the time. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
Jen and I actually have other little side things that we've been dabbled in working on here and there. There's been some
Yeah.
labels that ask for some stuff, but like people that aren't in this business, they don't realize like how those opportunities come and go so quickly, and
Yeah.
I used to tell people that getting a record deal was the easy part. It was keeping it that was hard. And now that's all even harder and weirder, and things have changed even more. This industry is in such flux right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, there's stuff here and there that we've worked on with other people as well, and maybe something will be coming out at some point in time. You never know.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be really cool, especially coming from this audience. It's always starving for new material. It seems like
Very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
when
yeah.
you
I don't
guys.
think I don't think we can write exactly like. I mean, like so many bands have tried to write like Guns N' Roses, but it's like I said, it's really those personalities that make the magic. Like
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
you can't conjure the magic. It's not like a Duncan Hines recipe. It's like either that magic is there or it's not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, when you guys came in and then you finally started growing and you eventually would tour internationally, what's something about touring internationally that you didn't really expect versus touring when you're at home?
Hmm.
Sitting
I
in
don't
a
know.
middle seat on the airplane.
Oh God.
I don't
Yeah.
do middle
On
seats.
on
But
a 17-hour flight across the Pacific.
19
Oh.
hour, Jenna. It was 19 hours.
Oh, was it
When
19
it was
hours?
19. But when you fly, depending on how the deal is done, sometimes the promoter buys your flights, and when they buy your flights through a third party service, they just here's the names, here's the tickets. And then I couldn't switch my seat, and I'm like, I am stuck.
Oh
And
no.
I'm tall. I'm 5'10". Don't make me eat my knees crammed into the middle. I mean, I was so unhappy, but whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
other than that, like I've lived abroad before, so I don't know. I think, and Jenna, you could probably completely agree with me on this. That anyone who loves doing what we do, you love new cities, you love new
Yeah.
adventures, you have gypsy feet. You want new sights, smells,
Yeah.
people,
You
new
need to be on new
skylines to
soil
look
in the
at.
morning.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you have to have an adventurous spirit to love doing what we do, and so going to another country is just like cool. Let's go chase koalas.
Right. Let's go walk down cobblestone streets that are like thousands of years old. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
What do you is there another country of all the places you tour and everything besides of course America because that's where you're from, but like what country would you think feels most like home?
Australia surprised me how much it
Yeah.
felt like here.
Yeah,
Oh,
Australia is definitely maybe it's even just the climate too and the places that we played, but it's got a very LA attitude for LA attitude mixed with European and Asian, but it's very eclectic and that's what makes it more home. That's what made it more homey for me because here in LA we're a big melting pot and they seem to be there too. And
yeah.
they're biting tooth and nail for just rock and roll. And that was the best part about it. They are some super fans down there and just the sweetest people too. I could easily move to Australia and not look back. That's for sure.
Isn't that strange how that is? Because like it seems like classic rock has never lost its heyday when you go internationally, like especially in
Yeah.
places like Brazil and like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
Australia.
Oh yeah.
We need to get to Brazil. We tried.
Oh, you guys would be.
There's been a couple maybes, but we tried. I had an ex-boyfriend that lives down there, and he's a big star down there, and I was like, you need to help us get to Brazil. So he's like, oh, I'll call this promoter. So he did. Then he called me back. He's like, well, the promoter's really busy, and he's got a lot going on, and he doesn't know if you guys would quite fit because he already has something similar. And I was like, well, what do you want us to play? And he goes, oh, it's the Rock and Rio guy. Guns N' Roses is playing. And I was like, well,
Oh,
thank you, but can you call some clubs?
We have something similar to you guys. It's this little band
Something
called Guns
similar.
N' Roses.
I don't know if they'd fit. I don't know if they're big enough. I was like, well, what size venue? Oh, it's Rock in Rio. I was like, thanks, but you're thinking wrong. He goes, well, it's the promoter I know that would like you guys. I was like, oh, God.
Well, hey.
Obrigada.
They are the most requested band at Rock in Rio. And so, I mean, if they can't get Axel and GNR, I mean, I think you guys would kill in Brazil. As popular as GNR is down there.
Yeah, I mean, GNR's like a national treasure down there. It's bananas, but it's just really getting the right offers at the right time. And one thing I will say about our agents that I really appreciate from them is because we are a group of girls. They will not send us to a foreign country unless they've already done a deal with that promoter, unless they've already sent people over and they know that they went over and came back without any problems. Like they're a little more cautious with us than they are with a group of guys because just because they don't want it on their back if something were to happen to us, because they are sending 5 girls to a foreign country. So
yeah, that's good though that they're like that though, because that could end disastrously.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about when you play in LA and things like that? Is there a particular venue that you were the most excited to get to perform in that you finally?
In LA?
Yeah, because LA's got tons of places. You've got the Whiskey, you've got the Troubadour. Like
there are, and we've played a lot of them, but really the Viper Room is our home here. Wouldn't you say, Jenna?
Oh, the Viper Room is where I cut my teeth, particularly growing up, and then they have been so good to Paradise Kitty since day one. Like that is our home. That stage is where we live.
They let us go in and we'll take over nights, and we'll take over a residency, and we'll play one night a week for a month, or one day a month for a certain amount of time. And we've packed the house, and it's just always even though the stage is so super small, it's just always such a good vibe in there, and they treat us so well that the shows are always an amazing amount of fun. So
yeah, those venues, they look small, but man, what a hell of a show you always see. Like when you see the videos and tapes and things that come out of there.
Right.
It's always got like a great energy, and maybe that's part of it, that up close and personal feel for the audience that gives it that vibe and that energy.
Yeah, and like I said, the right recipe. Like some places just have magic, and you can't. It's not something you could build or buy. It's either in the walls or it's not. It's just like a certain vibe to it that works.
What are some of the bands you guys have got to play with? Like I know you guys opened for Faster Pussycat, I believe, a few years ago.
Yeah, we toured cross country with them over
What a
summer.
hell of a pairing, though. That was a good call.
So much fun. And they're our brothers. They're they're our neighbors and, besties. So, that was just like taking a bunch of the neighborhood kids and throwing them out on a tour together. And it was just a lot of fun. So
I love Faster Pussycat, but like it took me a long time to even find them because they, at least around here, I'm originally from the South, but even now I live in the Midwest, and they still don't really play Faster Pussycat on the radio on classic rock like they do the Stones or people like that. I mean, it took a long time for me to discover them. I was well grown before I discovered Faster Pussycat, which was cool to me because being a classic rock fan, you don't get a lot of new music.
Yeah. It's always fun when you find those that little thing that was hiding, and then you're like, oh my God, a new favorite band that's new to me, even though they're 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So love Faster.
Oh yeah, those guys kill it.
And we've gotten to play a lot of fun festivals and stuff with a lot of other of our friends and buddies. So it's always we got to do a festival with it had everyone from Skid Row to Pat Travers on it. That was cool. We tend to not do that many tribute circuit things. We play more of things like that. Like we'll do shows with Skid Row, Warrant, Faster Pussycat. We'll do a tour with Dizzy Reed or things like that instead of doing we don't play with many tribute bands.
Yeah.
And I think that what we talked about earlier about how you guys are cool and not campy and not, lame or anything like that, that helps you guys to fit in better into those kind of tours and
Yeah.
those kind
Yeah.
of
We aren't
circuits.
a
So,
novelty act, you know?
yeah. I mean, there is that, but at the same time, you're unique enough that the audience already knows the songs, so you don't have to worry about,
Yeah.
them, not knowing what's going on and stuff like that happens too. And that's one of the downsides with original material. That's why I talk to a lot of cover bands that are great bands and phenomenal artists, but they don't do original stuff because you can't draw money that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's like something where you have to have the magic too, and right timing, and knowing the right people, having the right people in your group. It's hard to be an independent artist these days.
It really is
So
like that. The wind has to be blowing the right way. People
Yep.
have to be in the right mood,
yeah,
countrywide, and
right.
stuff like that.
The fire under the cauldron has to be perfect.
Sometimes it seems like it almost does take like a
Yeah.
voodoo hex or something to.
Seriously.
Well, when you guys are touring, what's something that's you've seen go down at a show or something while you were in another town? What's the craziest thing that's gone down while you guys were out and about on the road?
Huh.
We,
I don't know, like with us, Rach, can you think of anything with us
yes,
touring?
yes.
'Cause I got plenty of
Well,
stories with
it's
me.
something. It's not something that you're gonna expect though. We have this one fan who I met at the Rainbow. He's a huge Guns N' Roses fan, and then he lives in Australia and he follows Guns N' Roses
Oh,
around the globe. And so, when we went to Australia, he flew to almost every one of our shows because Australia's it's a big continent. So,
Yeah.
we had to fly from show to show. So it'd be like coming to the US and playing, from LA to Denver to Dallas to Jacksonville to North Carolina. That's like kind of like the tour we did of Australia.
Yeah.
So we're flying around, and he flew to almost all of the shows except for one because his dad was coming with him, and his his dad got really drunk at the airport and got arrested. So he didn't make it to one of the shows because his dad got arrested. But then all of a sudden, like a year later, we're playing in Denver, Colorado, and he's in the freaking audience. And I was like, man, what are you doing here? Are you like out? Like GNR's not even in the neighborhood because I'd always see him in LA when GNR would be rolling through, And I
Yeah.
was like, they're on hiatus. He goes, I know they're on hiatus, and I was jonesing. So I figured the next best thing is to come see you girls. So he flew from Australia, the other side of the planet, as far away as you could fly, to Denver, Colorado to come watch us play a bar. And he
and
turned
not
up
only that,
with our
he turned up.
logo tattooed on his arm.
What?
Yep. I
He,
love Grant.
he,
That guy's awesome,
yeah,
man.
he said
Oh
that
man.
every country he goes to, he gets he's seen something like 150 Guns N' Roses shows. He's part of that crew of people that just flies around,
Oh yeah.
and so his whole life is working to fly to see Guns N' Roses. That's his everything. So every time he goes to a new country, he gets a Guns N' Roses tattoo to commemorate being there. He's covered
Nice.
in tattoos, and they are all Guns N' Roses tattoos except for ours. And he got
Oh.
ours because he figured it's still kind of Guns N' Roses, so he got the "Show Me Your Kitties" logo tattooed on his forearm in Malaysia,
Oh,
which
that
is
is so.
great.
I
That is
love him
cool
so
though.
much.
That's wild
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I think
crazy.
it's funny. The more you talk about that, I think I might know who you're talking
You
about.
you probably do.
You
I'm sure
probably
he's
do.
probably listening to this podcast right now. Grant, we love you, man.
uh,
So
I think
yeah.
he'll be in touch if it's who I think it is. He'll be in touch.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, and that's nice tattoo, bro. I'm sorry, we just changed the name of the band.
Well, he didn't get that. We have this one logo that's a cat. It's like a skull, but it's a cat skull, and we had a T-shirt made that says "Show me your kitties," because some guys don't want to wear a shirt that says Paradise Kitty. It's too feminine for them. So I was like, we're making a damn shirt that everyone's going to wear whether they know who we are or not. So we have this
Right.
"Show me your kitties" logo and hat and shirt made. So he he had to show me your kitty's logo tattooed on his arm.
Did you
I
guys
wonder
settle
if that helped at Eddie Bars for him. Can I see your tattoos? He's all, yeah, here you go, ladies.
Hi, what do you think?
the seventh fail?
I'm just kidding.
Funny.
Oh man, what did you guys immediately settle on Paradise Kitty, or was there another one, or what are some of the ones that didn't make the
That
cut?
one's all Rach right there, man. She's a genius when it comes
So
to marketing.
before we met at that first rehearsal, there was this other singer that we were talking to. This was before Jenna came into the mix. We never actually met this girl in person because her email messages were just like a bit too much. But
Oh,
you know, like when you play in a band with people, you got to be able to, like, being a good hang goes a long way. You don't want to be stuck on a 12-hour car ride with people you don't want to hang out with, you know?
oh yeah,
So basically,
like
she was,
Velvet Revolver.
we can't afford separate buses. So,
Yeah, right.
but she wanted to name the band Huns and Roses. And I was
Huns?
like, Huns, like, hey, hun.
Oh, I was thinking like Attila the Hun.
That's what I thought. I was like, that's all. I went straight to Attila the Hun. I was like, no. They're like, well, you need it. That's what it is, unless you come up with something better. And I was like, Paradise Kitty. It just came out of my mouth and it stuck. So
It fits. It's
it
perfect.
fits. It fits. It's cute. It gave us like some fun logo ideas and stuff, you know.
So, are you guys still? You're on your website and everything. Are you guys have your merch and stuff available for people to purchase and things like that on if they want to go and?
We don't at the moment. That's gonna all be popping up soon, but we just due to COVID and all this stuff going on, it's kind of made things weird with putting stuff up and then shipping it out. And so we're waiting for all this to blow over to get that going. But you can message us on our social medias and we can work stuff out that way.
Okay. So, are you guys thinking about? Is it possible with the way or how with where everybody is for you guys to do like any streaming shows or anything like that, like Metallica's doing right now?
There is, and you will probably see something like that from us within the next month or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking with a couple different people. Like, you know, the Monsters of Rock wanted us to come play theirs, but scheduling wise, it wasn't going to work out. So we're just trying to find the right date for all that to happen. But you will probably see a live stream of us doing a full set at some point.
Yeah.
Can I interview you for a second? So
Sure.
what's your favorite Guns N' Roses story?
Mine? Oh God, I've got so many. I was part of those people that used to work to fly to see Guns N' Roses, and I decided one day I'd like to retire and buy a house or something, and so I had to give up that life. But
Yeah.
oh my God, there's
How
so
many times did you see them?
13.
Nice.
I'm
No,
probably around like
14 actually. I just remembered.
probably around like 12 or something. I'd have to count, but luckily I was able to see the April Fool's show at the Troubadour, which was insane. That was just insane. It was such a fun night. So
They're
that was
supposed to
really
be
cool.
releasing that. We've heard so many times that they're going to release the Troubadour, and the fans in the GNR community online are begging for that one.
Yeah.
Like that's the what do you call it? The holy grail right now.
Yeah, it would, you know, well, because for those of us that were there, we all waited in, except for the people that snuck in line. We slept on Sunset Boulevard and waited in line overnight, all night. You know, got our tickets around noon finally the next day, being awake all night. Went home, tried to sleep for a couple of hours, but everyone was afraid that if we fell asleep that we like wouldn't wake up and we'd miss the show. So watching the show, it was like such a dreamlike state because there was no sleep. Like I was just exhausted. I wish I could have like had a day in between to like actually sleep. But
Yeah.
but it was still really cool. Really, really cool to be a part of that.
Well, that show it boggled my mind because from what it seemed like is that place sold out on a rumor. Like there were people going around the block to buy tickets, and it wasn't even
No.
officially confirmed.
No. It didn't. So what they did is they kind of it was kind of a rumor, but I knew it was going to happen. So I had like literally people were selectively trading information about it. So like I had a girlfriend who knew a guy who mowed Slash's dad's lawn. I kid you not. And she'd be like, so have you heard anything about this April Fool's show? And I'd be like, well, I have something. What do you have? So we would trade information very selectively and very carefully, because it was like you didn't want someone to run their mouth and then to not be able to get a ticket because more people turned up. So it ended up being, they gave out tickets at Tower Records, and I was like the fifth person in line or something. We all lined up and slept on the street overnight and like passed bottles of whiskey down the line, passed boxes of pizza down the line. It was so cool because in this era, you don't get that sense of community within like that. Like, I don't know. It was just this like old school community within the rock scene of like when people used to camp out for tickets, and when we got into the show, they sealed all of our cell phones. We weren't allowed to, like, no cell phones in the crowd. So people were actually watching the show instead of watching their phone. And it was fabulous.
Yeah, that's the thing I cannot do. Like, I've seen people, and I'll try to take the occasional picture, but I'll come out of my GNR shows with like no photos, hardly, maybe 2 photos, maybe a 30-second clip of a video of like a graphic or something like before a song starts. But I don't see how people can do that, like pay all this money to see a concert just to get there and watch it on a screen.
I mean, you could just go on YouTube after the fact and take the person next to you's video. So
I know, right?
Just watch the show,
Speaking of YouTube, have you guys, back a couple of years ago, there was the big takedown controversy that went down in the GNR community. Were you guys were affected by that at all?
No, because we actually give them credit for every song that we post up. We post it up under the tents, like say, "You Could Be Mine," Guns N' Roses, "You Could Be Mine," as performed by Paradise Kitty. So it automatically sends them all of the rights and royalties for that. So we don't get flagged for any of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good,
you
idea.
know, Jenna, I just had a memory of something that we did and we collected video for, and we never did anything with, but we have to do, maybe we need to start a new campaign with this. So when GNR started the tours and they played Dodger Stadium for the first time, it was them and the Cult. Yeah. And so it was like early on in their, they did those few shows in Vegas and then they did their first proper tour. So it was during that first proper tour, Jenna and I started interviewing random people in the audience. And I think we need to finish this campaign. And it was a tell me about your first time. So either tell me about either the first time you saw Guns N' Roses live, the first time you heard Guns N' Roses, or the first time you got laid. That was the tell me your first. Jenna, let's make note. We gotta finish that campaign because we had some great stories that came out of that. And some of those, all 3 were tied into one story. So
That's great. That's hilarious. I hope you guys get that posted soon. I'd like to see it myself.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on to the show today. I've had a blast talking with you. Paradise Kitty, ladies and gentlemen, you can find them. Their links are in the description. And hopefully soon this damn virus will go away so that you guys can get back on the road and we can all get out of our houses for a little while and be away from our families again.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Well, yeah, hopefully we can get away from one family and come see our road family because we miss everyone out there. So we're eagerly awaiting when we could get out there and rock out with all of you. So
yeah, we sure are. So thank you for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Buddy, this is 2020. If you have a smartphone, you're fucking being tracked 24/7. There's a VPN that I've been using for quite some time now, the Unlocator VPN service. It'll encrypt your connection, it avoids any tracking from any other people, but best of all, I use it to access some of the stuff that's not available for me on like Tubi TV. I can get the American version of Tubi TV, any Netflix, any sort of streaming service that's blocked where you want to access a different country's Netflix or whatever, you can do that with Unlocator. Hit the link in the description below.
Well, guys, once again, we want to say thanks to Jenna and Rachael from Paradise Kitty for coming and doing that interview with us here. And we've got another guest coming up here in just a moment. But first, please welcome from my hometown of Jefferson City, the Cherry Pistols. guys, this next segment is brought to you by Honey. Honey is a browser extension that automatically finds and applies the best coupons anywhere on the internet. And there certainly is a lot to love about that. And as a matter of fact, so many people love it, it's got over 100,000 5-star reviews. So click the link in the description right now to add the Honey extension to your browser to unlock deals and start saving today. Welcome back to Guns and Radio, and our next guest tonight is the man who is the lead singer of the band called the Cherry Pistols, as well as numerous other projects that we're going to talk about in just a moment. Please welcome Rich Whalen.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, it's good, man. Good. It's good to hear from you. Good to have you on the show and everything for our big finale. You got anything coming up that you want to talk about before we get started?
Well, I just got a few projects in the works. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air. Probably after the Cherry Pistols play Thursday Night Live on September 10th. Then I have some solo things that I'm doing, just acoustic, all over the place, 7 decades, trying to just entertain as many people as I can at one particular time. I call that Rich Whalen Live, so it's just me and an acoustic guitar. I also do just some backup tracks where I can get out in the crowd with a wireless mic and have some fun and some partying that way. And I also have another project called Aquanet All Stars, and I think this is probably something your listeners would really enjoy. It's with my brother, who's the lead singer of Notorious. They're an arena rock tribute band. But Aquanet All Stars is basically just what it sounds like. It's all of the big hair bands, all of the great music that they put out in the 80s and early 90s. So between the two of us and 2 guitars, 1 guitar player plays keys, bass, drums. So there's 6 of us, and we'll be rocking. So we actually have our debut show on Halloween, October 31st, at Capitol Bluffs in Jeff City, and we'll be doing that show with 5 Turn Knot as well.
Oh, that's going to be a good show then. That seems like that'd be a real fun show to be, because they do kind of old school covers and things like that as well.
They definitely bring the party, and that's what we're looking to do. Just all the fun. We're not looking there to make people cry. We're not going to be doing the songs about suicide or saying bye to Michelle or don't close your eyes or things like that. But those are some great bands in that era of time. There was a lot of talent. And they were just so much fun, and that's what we're digging. That's what we grew up listening to and partying with, and we feel like there's a lot of people out here. They get to hear bands do some of those songs, but I don't think they really get to see them performed in a really big way, and that's what we want to bring. We want to bring that big stage show back. So this is not an act that you're going to see in a small club on a tiny stage. This is a big stage act.
Oh, that's going to be cool then, man. I know you said you play guitar. I never realized that you played guitar before, because you don't play with the Cherry Pistols.
No, I can kind of play everything. I'm probably like a jack of all trades, master of none. So I play well enough just to get me by. So I can just I can sing. That's what I do most. But I've been playing guitar since I was 10. I've been practicing since the COVID shutdown.
Oh. Yeah.
Not much before that.
Well, speaking of that, we were talking, Chris and I, before we started recording the interview, and I was going through my Instagram today, and I realized the Cherry Pistols have the honor of being the last concert I went to before the virus came and shut everything down, and I did not realize that.
That's a very dubious distinction, isn't it?
That's something I was completely unaware of. But what do you think's going to happen? Like, what's going on with this? Like, I know you guys are playing Thursday Night Live, and by the time this airs, that will be a thing of the past. Are you worried or anything about these kind of large gatherings and stuff like that with this virus going on?
Personally, I'm not worried. It's an outdoor show. I've already had Rona. So I got through it fine. The symptoms were so mild, didn't really bother me. So I have antibodies. I'm not worried about it. I believe in that masks do help, if people want to wear those. But my biggest belief that if you're indoors, and people have symptoms, then they don't go anywhere. They're just stuck indoors, and they just multiply and multiply and multiply. Whereas when you're outdoors, I believe the parts per million is so infinitesimal that if one person isn't going to spread it to everybody outside, if anyone at all. Unless they just sneeze right in your face. So I think being outdoors, for the most part, just because there's so many air particles to go around, and the virus particles are so concentrated, I'm not worried about that, at all. However, we do appreciate people, respecting the band's personal space, because that's some things sometimes we don't get to choose that. We want to keep our distance, we want to stay on the stage, or some guys even toward the back, or something like that. And there's times where people come right up to us and don't really let us get to our break resting point or something like that, and we have to engage people. But it doesn't really worry me. I enjoy doing those things. But if you are a person out there and you really want to talk to somebody in a band that you're really listening to, you may want to just check with them first and see if that's all right.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. When you said you had the virus, what was it like for you? Because I've heard stories from other people and things like that, but I haven't actually conducted the interview myself or anything. How did you find out that you had it?
Well, I'll do a little background. I go to Las Vegas every year during the Super Bowl, and so this year I made my annual trip. And when I was out there, I started to feel like my throat was swollen up a little bit, like my lymph nodes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happens to me, I usually try to nip it in the bud. As a singer, I can't let an illness progress. I can't let it get down into my lungs. I can't be congested. So I went straight to urgent care, but it was even too late by then. But what it felt like to me was bronchitis. So, when I was sick, when I got back, I had chills, I had fever. I didn't even suspect Rona, though, because this is something that I've used to have chronic bronchitis, and it felt exactly that same way. The even urgent care didn't really think that I had coronavirus. They felt like it was bronchitis as well. Got me some antibiotics and steroids, and in 2 days, I felt great. And it wiped me out a little bit energy wise, and it took me about a week and a half to get past that, but I had no residual effects. So when this time came around, it started the same way, where I just had a little bit of a runny nose and my lymph nodes were swollen. I thought that I was getting bronchitis again, and so I went straight to urgent care, got antibiotics and steroids. In a couple days I felt great. It happened that a close personal acquaintance ended up testing positive around that same time and having different symptoms than mine, but they had some nonetheless. So I just went and got myself checked, so to be sure that I, could quarantine or should quarantine and stay away from certain people, and I tested positive. But my symptoms were so mild. Actually, the worst thing about having coronavirus was when I got tested and they stuck that big thing up my nose and tickled my brain for a while. I can't tell you. It's amazing to me how my brain wasn't bleeding after sticking that thing up there. And then my head felt fuzzy for about a week after that. So there's some parts of your body you're just not supposed to be touched.
Did you? So you had it twice? You think? Is that what you say?
No, I truly believe that I did not have it back in February, because
Okay.
it went away so quick with the antibiotics, and supposedly it's supposed to be antibiotic resistant. So, I really don't think, I think it was just a regular bronchitis. And I think that's something that people need to keep in mind, that every little sniffle, every sneeze, every cough doesn't necessarily mean it's corona. I mean, we've had all of these other things for so long, around us. We get them, we get sick, we deal with it, we heal, we move on. And I know that coronavirus is real. I'm not saying it's not. And I know on some people, it's very difficult to deal with. And if it gets down into your lungs, that can be very hard to deal with, if not even deadly for, people who can't fight it off. So I know it's a real thing. I don't think that's what I had in February.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you came out.
I didn't get tested for it then either. So.
Yeah. Well, at least you're well. You came out of it unscathed. So that's That's the important thing. But I know what you mean about the paranoia that goes with it, because ever since this thing has started, man, I swear, dude, every time I sniffle, I'm like Fred Sanford thinking this is the big one. So I know exactly what you mean. I've been paranoid as hell
Well, and
myself.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being paranoid if it means you're also proactive. So if you feel like you're, getting those symptoms, and if you're not sure, err on the side of caution. And one, go get tested if you can. The problem is, unless you have certain symptoms, it's almost impossible to get tested in Jefferson City. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I called 3 different numbers. I went through 2 or 3 different websites. They kept moving me all around until I finally had an appointment. And I think the fact that I knew somebody, and that's what I used as my bait to be able to go get tested, that helped me get in. But otherwise, they're just not they should be testing anybody that wants to be tested, and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
Uh, so the other thing I did is I went straight to urgent care, and I got antibiotics and steroids. The steroids help keep my lungs clear, keeps fluid and congestion out, and things like that. So even if I'd had it, I think those things actually help. They don't cure it by any means, but
No.
any kind of medicines you can get in and let the doctors know, or even let them decide, is helpful. So just be proactive and get out there and seek treatment.
When let me ask you about this, because this is something that kind of made national news here in Jeff City. I guess it's been a year ago now when the big tornado came. Were you affected by that at all?
Very much so.
What happened?
Well, our bass player, Quentin Rice, uh, his properties, he owned Avenue HQ, and it was completely destroyed by the tornado.
Oh shit! I didn't
Completely
realize that.
destroyed. So he had lots of equipment. If you like, I'll tell you. But I was just talking with my nephew. He goes to MU, and he happened to stop by here today. We were talking. So that day, I was in Brazito at my sister's house. The tornado was supposed to be coming through St. Thomas and then
Hmm.
hitting like Honey Creek is where we're at. Well, it missed us by about 2 miles, but that was about it. So then I was calling my mother, who lived in Jefferson City, and they live pretty close to Highway 54. We knew that was the path of the tornado. So she takes out her earrings, her ear aids, her hearing aids, and then she turned off her phone. Now I had to drive into town.
Oh
There's debris
god.
all over the road. There's trucks overturned by Braun's Auto Savage, which what another side story about that is my dad had a car that was at Braun's that got destroyed and totaled just because it was in the
Oh
shop.
man. Oh shit.
So there were 3 trucks overturned right there on that corner of 54. The tornado jumped over at 179, and then it hit the um, Special Olympics training site, and then Riley's and all that.
Oh
Well,
god.
you can see Riley's Chevrolet from my parents' house. There's a side street that goes right up there, so they're almost a stone's throw. It's maybe a quarter of a mile or something. So it was that close to where my folks were. But the tornado, had it not jumped 54, probably would have ended up getting very close to their house. But it jumped the highway and went over. So
Yeah.
I also have a sister that lives down on the corner of Cherry Street and High Street. So the next day I'm trying to make my way downtown. I was in neighborhoods you wouldn't believe. There between Stadium and Miller Street, and there was just so many down trees everywhere. If you were near Monroe Street, they had all the side streets blocked off. If you were on Lafayette, they had all the streets blocked off in between. So somehow I got by a barrier I didn't even realize, and I couldn't get out of the neighborhood because there was just trees down everywhere. And they didn't talk about that area at all. You never heard it on the news. You heard about Hawthorne Apartments there by the YMCA, that break time there on Ellis and Sonic, and that church there, all that got hit pretty hard, but they didn't talk about those neighborhoods. And nobody was hurt. There were volunteers that went and knocked on 1,000 doors, and everybody was fine. They just didn't have power, and there were crews in there cleaning up the trees. So it all happened really, really fast. But when I went to check on my sister, her house was fine, but just a half a block away, there's an alley behind her house. I guess that's Commercial Drive that goes all the way downtown. And there were trees that were over that they were chainsawing, cutting up, and then Avenue HQ is at the 600 block corner of Lafayette and East Capitol. And yeah, the whole building was destroyed. The worst part is that when it took the top off, it broke the water pipes. And so all the water damage went straight down. And he used a lot of a basement storage area for a lot of his gear and, PA systems, even extra things and stuff like that. And all that was sitting in about 10 to 12 inches of water.
Oh, God.
So luckily he's got a lot of great friends, and so we got everything out of there. We got the water out. Some of it was salvageable. A lot of his stage gear was not. But that's what insurance companies are for, and he's doing really good. But ultimately, that's how we were affected. We didn't necessarily lose a lot of jobs because of it. Maybe a couple that I recall, but there was a lot of people I know. Wedding venues, people scrambling to, just get the receptions in and things like that. And so our friends in the music industry with PAs and things like that were scrambling, just to help these people out and get their events done and things like that. But for the most part, I mean, it didn't affect me a whole lot. I don't really think I lost as many jobs, not like the virus shutdown stuff is doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, man, I didn't even know all of that. So, I mean, I'm glad everybody's okay and everything with all of that, because that was a crazy night. And I've told my story about running through the parking lot in my underwear and flip-flops and on here before. But I know what you mean about the houses that got affected, because the next day I rode through, I was headed somewhere and I went through and I saw that. And the only thing, and I nothing's funny about this, I know, but it's a little funny. There was a guy sitting on a porch, and that porch had a tree that had been uprooted and a hole poked through it. And half of the tree was sticking out of the roof of his porch. And he was just sitting under the tree smoking a cigarette like nothing was wrong with this situation whatsoever. And I did see that, and that but it was devastating. I know exactly what you mean.
It's amazing how lucky as a community we were. There was only one person that was really injured, and they were thrown, I guess, and they ended up having to lose a leg, so they actually lost a limb. They eventually died from those injuries. So there's not a lot of press about it. For the most part, everybody will tell you that there were no casualties, but there was one. It was just indirect. He didn't die till a couple weeks later. That they lived over on Heritage Highway right off 54. There were a couple neighborhoods here that were devastated. I mean, just leveled. Only thing left were foundations. There were a couple trailer parks over there that were just totally leveled. I had some friends that lived in the back end of that community, and their house was fine because it was more up the street where it was. They lived really close to 54, and it was, but we're talking 50 feet. And maybe 50 yards. And, we're talking, when we talk about feet and yards, that's just crazy how close, people that we love were, and basically escaped all that damage.
Yeah. It was a lucky break for most of us. I'll say that at least.
I feel so bad for the people that lived in the apartments, because just trying to find places for them, the people that waited the longest, there were no more places. The city was at full capacity and there was no place for them to go. That's what I feel the worst about. And I couldn't really do anything about that myself. I didn't have a place where I could take somebody in. I would have done it.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I'm the same way. I live in an apartment too, so I mean, it could have easily happened to me and the people that live over here as well. So I mean, and it came pretty close to being us. I'll say that. It came down close to us. But we were really fortunate in that whole scenario. Going back to music, man, let's talk about that for a little bit. So you've been singing for years. Like, is there? Let's take it around and talk about GNR for a minute, because we kind of briefly talked about that in the pre-interview earlier. And you told us that you had a fondness for one album in particular.
Yeah, it was really crazy. So in 1987, I started listening to this radio show called Metal Shop on Westwood One Radio Network. And it came on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, kind of the way that or House of Hair does with Dee Snider now on KCMQ. But so it was a syndicated show. And I was exposed to just a lot of music that didn't get to the mainstream. Even bands, I can't even tell you what the names are. But some that I can remember were like Fifth Angel, and their singer Ted Pilot. I met those guys in Seattle. He studied under the same vocal teacher that Jeff Tate from Queensryche did. So very, very good band. When the Scorpions came out with their Savage Amusement album, they were playing almost all the cuts off of that album. I was big into Scorpions back then. And one time they played this 3 songs from a band called Guns N' Roses. And this is, 87. I know the album was released in July of 87, so it wasn't very long after that. And it was Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, and I think the third song was either Mr. Brownstone or Night Train. It wasn't Sweet Child of Mine like everybody would think it was. Back then we had radios with tape recorders, and when songs came on, we'd hit record, and so I had a tape with those songs on them, amongst other things, that I would keep in my car and I'd listen to all the time. So fast forward about 3 months, and there was a band from Omaha that was traveling through and playing a local club in Jeff City. I had a night off, and I'm just hanging out with them and talking, and they start singing a song just sitting at the bar. And I've heard that song before. What is that? And they're like, it's Guns N' Roses. And they were doing Paradise City. And I'm like, I've heard that song before. How do I know that? Because I hadn't really had the name of the band really stuck into my brain yet. Fast forward about another 3 months, I'm hanging out with the band that I was in. It was a band called Bits, based out of Waynesville. And my guitar player's cousin, he'd just come back from Colorado, and he says, I have the CD. You guys got to listen to this. This is so awesome. And it was Appetite for Destruction. And so it's still 6 months after its release. It still hasn't hit the Midwest yet, but it's starting to make its way over. And when I look at that and I saw it, I'm like, I've been listening to this for 6 months already. This is an awesome, awesome CD. And it was, I think, just after that, or not long after that, you've probably already talked about how they got their origin when they played the video at 4 o'clock in the morning on MTV, and then everybody blew up the switchboard and melted it. And they finally got some airplay, but it took a while to really build that album. It just wasn't happening, but I was getting it in little bits and pieces, and it was so good.
What led to the Cherry Pistols a couple of years ago doing the GNR tribute shows?
It's hard for me to answer that question because it wasn't my brainchild. But the year before, we had done a Motley Crue tribute, and it went over so well, and everybody responded so good that we decided, hey, we actually thought we were probably going to be doing that every year. After that was it was just so much fun, but it took so much work, because when we're playing just regular covers, once you learn them and once you rehearse them, you don't really have to do it again. And when you're playing them every weekend. So, but with the Motley Crue, we had to alter instruments, if not, buy a new guitar here or something like that, and just, rehearse until we had that down. And I thought that show went off so good, and that music was just so much fun, it rocked. So when we decided to do the Guns N' Roses, again, it was the same thing. We brought in another guitar player, Rob Frommel from Soul Root, who apparently his guitar roots, when he started to learn how to play guitar, it was Guns N' Roses. And so he knew the album inside and out, and he played that stuff so good. So between him and Jay Pelzer, they were just nailing all of those leads, and everything sounded so good. There were parts that were straining for me because I just don't have the top end like I had 7 years ago. But I was still able to hit it all, and it was, we'd get done with the song, and all I could just think of is, that song rocks, like My Michelle or something like that. And there were so many, that we didn't even play that still would have been awesome. But I think ultimately it was really just the success of the Motley Crue show that led to the Guns N' Roses show. So we did the Guns N' Roses show by itself when we played at Spectators. And then it was a couple months later that we decided to do both the Motley Crue and the Guns N' Roses together as like a Monsters of Rock type of show. And we did that at the Blue Note. And man, I can't tell you how much fun it was just to play, all of that music. I mean, it's fun to play all of the music and the variety that we get to play, and especially with the crowd response that the Cherry Pistols get. But when we played, each of those shows, just the anticipation of an entire crowd just waiting for that first note, that was just so much fun.
Was there a recovery period that came with that?
Really? You're kind of getting my radio voice today, because I just finished 3 nights down at the lake, and we don't often do 3 nights in a row. That only happens about once a year, if that. So I'm recovering from that. But the worst thing about it was I was dealing with an issue. I had a broken bone in my back. It was like just a little cracked vertebrae. It wasn't. I don't know if it was an impact or if it was. I don't know how it happened. Not really sure. All I know that for the most part I was okay. But every now and then, if I moved the wrong way, it was pinching a nerve in my right shoulder. And sometimes I would just have pain just shoot through my arm or something like that. Or, I've had a bad back since I was 13 years old. So I took a bad fall, and you just never really get better from those things. But I feel like I'm spry. I feel like I could still run around and jump around. And then sometimes you get a shooting pain somewhere in your body, and it reminds you of something else. But so I told people that I end up laying in a fetal position on the stage at the Blue Note. As long as I have the mic in my hand, just leave me alone. I'll finish. I'll finish from the floor, but I'll finish.
What do you think is the different? Is it a different feel playing the Blue Note than it is playing at Specs? Like what's the things that what's the feel like that somebody that doesn't do this would not? What's the word I'm looking for? Expect.
Well, for most of all, I'm a front man, and so to me that means I have to do multiple things. I can't just stand there and sing. And for one thing, I wouldn't want to just watch that. It's kind of boring. So to me, I want to run. I want to run around the stage. I grew up where the best front men were Steve Perry and John Bon Jovi and Steven Tyler and those guys ran. They didn't walk across the stage, they didn't meander, they would run. And they just put out so much energy. And so the Blue Note being a little bit bigger stage, it gives me the opportunity to do that. Now in my head, I'm probably, jumping hurdles and things like that. In reality, I'm probably walking really slow. But that's the difference. It just, the movement of the live show, and just having that, being able to have a balanced PA, where Spectators is just such a tight place that the PA speakers aren't even lined up in the same spot. One's back in the corner, the other one's right by the stage. You can't really move a whole lot. The band doesn't like it when I jump up and down on things like on the railing, the stairs, the bar. They're worried if I break my leg, everybody's out of work or something. Or if I crack my head. But Spectators is more intimate, I would say, and that can be fun sometimes when the crowd is just right up there with you. And I've seen you there times before where you're right up there with the rail, and having that kind of interaction, it's a blast. I don't want to be really far away from everybody necessarily. I want to be able to get close. But that's also why even at the Blue Note, I'll get off the stage, go around, go down the stairs, and get out in the crowd there too if I can.
Yeah. Well, there's last time I think I saw you guys play at Specs. I'm gonna just be brief on telling this story, but there was a fight that broke out. I went to the bathroom. I think I've told this on here before, Caputo. I went to the bathroom for like 2 seconds, and as I came out, all of a sudden the chick to dude ratio was definitely swinging the odds in my favor, because like all the dudes were gone. And I look over the door and everybody's being ushered out, and Rich is like,
And then they finish the song, and Rich is like, "God, don't worry about what's going on out there. We got the party going on in here." How often does shit like that happen when you guys play? Have you ever seen what's the craziest thing you've seen similar that's gone down while guys were trying to do your show?
Well, I would say with the Cherry Pistols, I could probably count on one hand how many fights I've seen, and it doesn't even take my whole hand. It just really hasn't happened that much. And I would say a lot of it comes down to the type of music that we play and the atmosphere that we create. It doesn't really lend itself to aggression.
Yeah.
It's more of just, having a really good time and things like that. And it, the other side of that is when the panties start to get wet, sometimes people get jealous and things like that and stuff too. So most likely that's what happened, that night. There's most fights start over a girl or something like that, or somebody looked at me or threw drink on my boyfriend or something like that. It just doesn't happen with us, very often. Now I've seen it happen in the past a lot when I used to be in bands that played really hard rock. There was usually at least one fight a weekend.
Yeah. I think I can't think of another one that's happened with you guys in particular, but that one was the only one, and I don't even know what happened. I wasn't even there for the fight. I mean, I was there.
The strangest one, it also happened at, I mean, I'd have to really search my memories, which I don't have a lot of anymore, to think the weirdest one. But I would say in recent times, the weirdest one is when I had my girlfriend thrown out. Basically, she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. We had just broken up like a couple days before, and then she showed up anyway. And I asked her to leave nicely. I even asked a guy that I know she was with whether they were dating or not. I don't care. I just knew where they were together. He was okay. I never had a problem with him. He was being respectful. He was actually keeping his distance. But I asked him nicely. I'm like, you got to get her out of here. She can't be here. And if I would have been able to maintain my composure well enough, it wouldn't have mattered. But I found it was really messing with my concentration. I mean, when I'm singing, I don't really miss notes, even if I'm having a really bad night. But what I do is I forget lyrics or maybe where I am in the song if my concentration gets off too much. And I found that I was making a lot of those mistakes, very early in the night. One might happen occasionally, at least one a night. I never have a perfect night. I always mess something up. But that night it was way too much. And so, she had to go. That was really the only solution. And so she wasn't leaving. Nobody was taking her out. So finally I told security, I'm like, she has to go. And so they drug her out.
Did you Axl Rose it? And did you get that guy out of here?
No,
Take that.
I try to maintain a professional attitude and, just low key, try not to let, the crowd know what's going on. At a place like Spectators, it's hard for anybody not to know what's going on. So.
Man, that's rough.
And what's funny is we got back together and we're still together. So.
Oh man.
But it was just one of those where we had broken up and it was too raw. I couldn't deal with it in that capacity. It's like, I'm trying to work here. It's not working. So.
Yeah, don't come up on my job. I see
right.
where you're coming from with that. Let me ask just a couple more things and then we'll kind of wrap up here. Was the Cherry Pistols, how long have you been in that band? Or were you the original singer or did they have somebody else or how did that all come about?
That's a really good question. So the original singer was Dave Baker. At the time he was also singing in Five Turn Knot. So I don't know if he just wanted a side project. I think that's kind of what it started out to be, is just something, different, to do and play maybe his favorite songs and things like that. And so the Cherry Pistols were an 80s mixtape. It was all 80s and it was really good song list. It was a lot of things that, Phil Collins and Bryan Adams and things like that, and Hall & Oates, and just the kind of stuff you don't hear a lot of cover bands do, and it was real enjoyable. So another funny story, me and my girlfriend, our first date was at a Cherry Pistol show before I was in the band. So they had grown a little bit when they got Mike Kivett in the band, but I think as far as dates go, the band started in 2011. I joined in 2014. when Dave's wife was having another child, and I think he thought he had too many irons in the fire, so
Yeah.
he was leaving the Cherry Pistols, and that left an opening. So I don't know. I don't think I was their first choice, but when it came around time, it worked out.
Yeah, that's what I never knew, that Cherry Pistols was like the sister band, I guess, to Five Turn Night, if you will.
Yeah, Dave was singing in both. Mike Kivett was playing keyboards in both. It I think after a while, well, I don't want to get into another band's, politics. I just don't think there were enough time to devote to both bands. Is kind of how it ended up turning out. It just, something had to give.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And let me ask you one last thing. Now, there's been a couple of times that, even though I am a very, very much a fan of classic rock music, a lot of times, especially before streaming and before Pandora and things like that, which are just now starting to get, I mean, they've been around, but they're just now starting to get legs under them and stuff like that. But you really rely on, as a classic rock fan, if there was a time where if they didn't play it on the radio, you just didn't hear it. So coming to you guys and stuff like that and seeing you guys play, there's been several. I can't. There's not any I'm willing to name for the shame of it, but there's been a few songs that I never heard before. I heard you guys play them, and it turned me on to that artist and made me go look up some more of their stuff. How much of that is by design when you're creating a set list? Because it's happened too many times with you guys for me that I've heard you guys play something that wasn't on the radio for me to believe that's not by design.
There's several different methods when it goes into it. Now, from the time I was 19, I got to set this up with a little history. I joined a band that was already working, and I was with that band for a little less than a year, then joined another band that was already working. Was with them for about 3 years, and joined another band that was already working. And that mode has always happened for me. I've only one time in my life have I ever started a band from scratch, and it was a band called Code Pyramid back in like 96, 97, around then. So from that aspect, to answer your question, I definitely wanted to do songs that I knew would excite people, but definitely knew that they didn't get to hear every day. So
Yeah.
it's a catch-22 sometimes. You want songs that people will recognize. So if you play something that's so obscure that they've never heard before, you have a chance to turn them on, but you're probably better off playing something that maybe they've heard before, but they really don't get to hear that much anymore. And then that really excites them. It's like, wow, I really like this song. I want to hear this as much as possible. And then they come to all your shows. So there's kind of a fine line there sometimes. The Cherry Pistols in its origin was the former of, playing is a bunch of songs that people don't necessarily get to hear all the time. And after I joined the band, and I think we're just able to see a higher ceiling of what the band could do. So we just started, doing a lot more songs. And then there were times where we'd play a song and the crowd response was just so amazing that the songs that we'd learn after that were, okay, we got to play this and we got to play this. It also comes from requests. We do a lot of wedding receptions and corporate events and things like that as well. So when people start requesting songs, you start taking a mental note, okay, we're getting requests for this song all the time. We should probably play it. So I would say, the list now for the Cherry Pistols is much more mainstream, the kind of thing that you hear on 96.7 or 93.1 Jack FM or something like that. Most of our song lists they're playing all the time. So the songs are out there. The only difference is you may not be hearing all the bands play them. So some people still want to hear even if they hear them on the radio, they still want to hear them done live. But my philosophy has always been to just try not to play the songs that everybody's playing. Why should somebody come see your band? Well, they should be able to see something, that they can't see anywhere else. Sometimes it's about being better than other bands, but you can't always control what somebody else is doing. You can only control what you're doing. So if if somebody, like for me, if somebody's playing a song by Bon Jovi, well, let's play Bon Jovi, but let's play a different Bon Jovi song. I'm like that a lot. So Aquanet All Stars is kind of taking that type of philosophy. If we're going to play Rat, let's play a Rat song that nobody else is playing. If we're going to play a Whitesnake, let's do one that somebody else isn't playing, and so on. And so instead of sometimes doing the obvious song, there's another song that's just as good that people will enjoy just as much.
Well, folks, you can check out Rich online on Facebook, Instagram, I believe. Are you on IG?
I'm not actually, but I should probably wake up and smell the new century.
Well, you can check out Rich on Facebook. You can check Cherry Pistols, thecherrypistols.com, where you can find their schedule for that band. And where can they find out about your solo stuff and Aquanet, All Stars, and all of the other things that's going on with you?
Yeah, so my solo stuff is on Facebook, Rich Whalen Live, and the Aquanet All Stars, it's just that. It's 2 words, Aquanet All Stars, also on Facebook.
All right, and then, of course, we'll have links to all of that in the description of this podcast to make it real easy for everybody to find. Rich, thanks for coming on, taking time out of your day to be a part of the season finale of our podcast.
It was my pleasure. I could talk about this stuff all day long.
Oh, yeah, I could too, but then we would all be here all night. So.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody. Season finale of the Guns and Radio podcast. And now it is time for the bit that we've been teasing and tantalizing you with for the last several weeks, which it worked out because we decided that we were going to do originally a top 10 list, and we came up with like 25 moments to pick between.
Yeah.
And then Chris and I got together and we settled on a top 20, and it just so happened that we were lucky. And the episode that we were about to drop hadn't come out yet that week when we finally got the 20 list set up. So we timed that top 20 list just right so that we could do one in GN Extra and one on Guns and Radio for the bottom 10. So it would lead into the top 10. So 5 weeks. Today. I know, right? This is going to be exciting.
Very exciting.
Let's see. Well, without further ado, let's start with number 10. You want to introduce this one, or do you want me to? Because this is one I insisted on us including.
Yeah, no, I can introduce this one. This is from one of our first episodes. This is from episode 17, and we covered The Seeker. It's a story about how a little blooper turns into something quite funny, because it made the top 10 here. So let's get into it right away. Our number 10 best moment of Guns and Radio year 1.
And I know that in 2020 we talked about opening up our guests to friends of the show who just want to come on and do an episode with us.
Yeah, man. This is a podcast. We are just 2 hardcore, diehard GNR fans who just wanted to talk about the music that we love the most, man. So,
Oh, who could that be? Let's see here.
The IRS, the FBI.
No, hang on. We got to do it this way. Beep.
Yeah, Mr. Caputo. This is the pharmacist over on 14th Street. You got the cream for that rash that you've been calling us about. It finally came into stock. I know when you came in the other day, you were itching, you were scratching pretty hard. It looked like a pretty big emergency there. So you might want to come get this cream here. And please, before you come in, try to wash your hands. We would really appreciate. All right. I'll see you down at the pharmacy.
That would have been a perfect plug for the random product bit that we would do. That would have been perfect. Oh my god.
Oh man, I could not draw attention to it because your phone is so old school that it's funny, bro.
Yeah, I'm in my basement right now recording this, and I still have one of those old attached little wall phones.
Oh man, you could probably sell that at an antique store.
Yeah, maybe $10.
I love that shit, man. To me, that is still funny. Do you got the phone? You got the phone? Show me the phone. You got it
Well, I
with
don't
you?
have it on me. No. I don't record in my basement anymore. So fuck that shit. After that, it's like I have to use that shit sparingly now.
Mr. Caputo. All right. So number 9 is a moment that you guys are going to be hearing for the very first time, but it has some historical significance to the show, so it didn't make sense to not include it.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it like a few times here and there. Like I know I have just out of like sheer randomness. This is a clip from episode 0, the first time that Dustin and I ever spoke, or ever even pretty much ever spoke, because like we didn't even see each other face to face at this point.
Yeah, we wouldn't see each other face to face till what, episode 4 or
Later
5?
on.
Yeah.
Once we got like more comfortable and everything, and it's like, okay, I'm not talking to some random dude like on the internet. I'm like, this guy doesn't want like dick pics of me or something. I don't know.
I'm not going to turn on this webcam and see a penis. That's a very big, that's a viable threat. And
definitely chat roulette. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was about
it's
to
basically
say.
like brought us to that moment. You know, like you don't know if you're gonna see a surprise cock come out of nowhere.
But anyway, without further ado, here's the number 9 greatest moment of season 1 of the Guns and Radio podcast. This is the first time Chris and I ever spoke to one another.
All right, so I'm Birch.
Hey, I'm Chris. Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Good and easy to remember. Do you want a handle or something when we do this?
No, Chris is fine. It's cool.
All right. I'll just do Birch or Bircham. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. If you say, how many shows, you been doing any shows?
I've been to like 3 or 4 junior shows.
What era?
I saw the first time. It was 06 or 07. They're here in Toronto. I saw them.
Nice.
And then I went again like right after Chinese Democracy came out, like in the beginning of 2010.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Then I went.
Was Bumblefoot in the? Was it Bumblefoot or Buckethead in 06?
No, it was Bumblefoot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I saw him. When did I see him? Yeah, I saw him twice on Not in This Lifetime, because they did or like the baseball stadium here, Rogers Center. That was pretty freaking cool.
And
then they did like yeah, and then they did just the 2 nights at the Air Canada Center, whatever the fuck they call it now. It's a different name. The 2 nights there, I was there for one of the nights, and it was just cool, man. Just see him like no openers, just do it for like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just kick ass. Yeah.
I've noticed that Guns openers always have a hard time.
Yeah, it's hard to open for a band like Guns, man, especially nowadays.
Man. Well, let's see. I think we'll have a decent chemistry, man.
Oh yeah, I'm liking this right now.
Yeah. I mean, I thought we would chat for about 30 minutes. I didn't think I'd have to start 3 separate recordings.
Yeah, well, shit's been over 40 minutes now. Nice.
We're a 3-man band!
Hey everybody, Third Man Dan here, and I just want to congratulate Chris and Dustin on 1 year of the Guns N' Radio podcast. You guys are doing an amazing job. And without further ado, here's the number 8 moment of Guns N' Radio's first year.
I'll take the slash amps. Those are expensive.
I've been scarred with the Riot. I was at the 2002 show in Philly. I was hype as shit to go see them. And I had the same love I have now as I did then, and everyone made fun of me. And it was December 6th, 2002, I believe. I had the tickets. Yeah. I went. He didn't show up. A riot happened. I think my sister saw me on the news. She like told my dad she saw me in the news coming out of the stadium, and I was like, this is like the worst thing ever. Like I had that scar. I had that like burned in my brain until like 4 years later when I saw them.
Did they not show? Was all their shit still there?
I think with the Philly show, it was infamous. So I don't know how much you guys know about that one, but the opening act was CKY and Mixmaster Mike, the DJ.
It was the O2 tour, yeah.
Yeah. So Mixmaster Mike kept playing. He just kept DJing. He kept playing with his records, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is this guy doing? This set's going on for like an hour now." And everyone's just like, "What? Get off stage! What are you doing?" So the guy kept trying to kill time because Axel wasn't there. Nobody knows the truth. People say he was in L.A. watching a Lakers game. People say he was in the air. People say he was like, I don't even know. Honestly, he could be in outer space when that was happening. But people, like, they announced like an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours after they were supposed to go on. The intercom was like, Guns N' Roses are not going to be going on. And people just started throwing things. I saw a chair on fire. They I remember hearing this. Because I worked at the stadium at that time too, so I knew some of like the managers and security people. They actually put a lot of the women security, like women employees and women security guards, like away, like in a room, because they were afraid that like drunk guys would like try to like attack them.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was crazy. And everybody made fun of me because everyone's like, "We told you he wasn't going to show up," and I'm just like, I was like I forgot how old I was. I think I was like 17. I'm like, shut up, guys. Leave me alone.
Hey, GNR fans. It's Chris L. of the Pot of Thunder podcast. Here to introduce number 7 on the list of the best moments from year 1 of the Guns N' Radio podcast. This clip features me, coincidentally, so enjoy it and continue to support this excellent show. Get in the ring, motherfucker!
How the heck did you guys get Chris Jericho on your podcast? Because as a big wrestling fan, I'm like, that dude's like constantly busy. I'm like, how the heck did you guys get him on multiple episodes on your podcast? I'd love to know.
Well, the funny thing is that, Nick and Andy are legit wrestling fans. I wasn't never really too big into pro wrestling, so I knew who he was, but it wasn't super on my radar, so to speak. So what happened was he started his podcast, Talk is Jericho, right around the same time we started ours. And his tagline for it was his secondary name for his podcast. He called it the Pot of Thunder. Mm-hmm. And Andy brought that up on an episode, and I started talking shit about Jericho stealing our name and saying things like if I ever encountered him, I would, smash his face into a turnbuckle, smash a chair over his back, all this stupid bullshit that, never thinking that any of it would, get back to him or whatever. But so in doing that, some of our listeners started tagging him on Twitter saying, stop stealing Pot of Thunder's name, this and that. And then one day on Twitter, get the alert that I have a direct message, and it's from Jericho, and he's asking me, are you guys near Indianapolis? Because, we say on the show that we're based in Northwest Indiana, Hammond, Munster, to be specific. Mm-hmm. And so I see this DM, and I'm like, I think this guy is trying to track us down so he can kill me for all the crap I've been saying about him,
Holy shit.
And so I run the Twitter account, so I got wind of this stuff first. Andy's like the huge wrestling fan, so I eventually got him involved, but when this first happened, I just responded to him and said, no, we're actually closer to Chicago. And he replies back, he's like, well, the Monday Night Raw is coming through there pretty soon. Do you guys want tickets to the show and meet up after the show? And I'm like,
oh, Lord.
Still thinking he's trying to lure me into some sort of situation where he's going to just kill me for all the nonsense I've been talking about him. But one thing led to another, and it was he left us tickets at the Will Call, and we went to see a Monday Night Raw show and met up with him after the show right there in the arena. Like after it started to empty out, he came out from backstage. We hung out with him for a bit, and from then we've all been like texting buddies, and whenever he's in town, either with wrestling or with Fozzy, we try to arrange it so we can meet up to do a show, and that's the story.
That's pretty awesome, man.
That is friggin' awesome. Holy shit.
So that's proof that you can talk shit about somebody and get positive results from it. So taking the high road isn't always the way to go, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Life lesson, kids. Remember that.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Vince.
Hey, listen, you bunch of assholes. I see you guys keep doing this podcast. You know, you never want to include me. And you know what? That's fine. I understand it. But as far as I'm concerned, the best goddamn thing that ever happened to this shitty-ass show was the day that I came on and made you guys a star.
Really? 'Cause I think I remember it other ways. You're still kind of a fucking asshole, Vince.
Hey, you're a fucking asshole, Caputo. Let me tell you something. Right now. Don't you call me a fucking asshole, okay? Because I'll whoop your ass, okay? I am a strong. This is all muscle, okay? This is just all this is right here. Look at it. Look at it. You see that? I'm going to rip my shirt off like Hulk Hogan. Look at that body. Look at those 12-inch pythons, baby. Right here. Vince and Mania running wild. You want to start a Guns N' fucking Roses podcast? Man, fuck Guns N' Roses. Motley Crue is the greatest band in the world.
Whatever you think, Vince. But hey, since you're here, actually, ironically, you actually did make our top 10. So I'll let you introduce the number 6 moment when you made your debut.
Yeah. Number fucking 6? 6?
Yeah.
Halfway down the goddamn list. Not even number 1.
Oh, there's been a lot better, unfortunately, Vince. So.
Oh, well, fuck you too, man. You know what? Introduce your own goddamn list. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Ladies and gentlemen, Motley Crue lead singer Vince Neil for you. He's a real fucking prick.
Yeah, if you're a Motley Crue fan and you're getting mad about us talking about Vince Neil, I never want to see a fucking Fat Axel meme out of your ass ever again.
Bro, you know, if you're a Motley Crue fan, fucking own up to the fact that Vince Neil's a fat mofo. Yeah.
You can't help but love him, though.
Sorry, just to add on for any fucking Motley Crue fans. Hey, at least my band doesn't all have fucking Hep C and probably been so much group sex they have fucking every STD on the planet, including AIDS.
Well, let's be real. Probably.
I mean, the worst Slash probably got was
okay. So
that was in his hair.
Oh, did you hear about Motley Crue's tour getting postponed this week?
Yeah, I think it was bound to happen, but like they literally waited until the last fucking minute.
Yeah, actually, on the phone now we have Vince Neil from Motley Crue. Caputo, why don't you ask him about that and see what he says?
Vince Neil, how are you, sir?
Yeah. What the fuck's going on?
I just wanted to get some questions about your the postponement of the big summer stadium tour.
Oh, the big tour, yeah. I was really looking forward to doing that tour every time, man, you guys, and it's a fucking bullshit, because then all of a sudden, you know, we're trying to do this fucking tour, and then the goddamn COVID-19 shit coming on. So now all the stadiums are like, man, we can't get everybody in. I mean, shit, I'm not playing in front of like 12 people again. I'm done with that shit. So yeah, we postponed it till next year, so maybe more people can come out and see us and won't feel so fucking pussified by this goddamn virus.
Yeah, and also maybe for you to get in better shape, Mr. Neil. You know, would
I
you
don't
like
know what
to?
the fuck you're talking about. I'm in the best shape of my life. What the fuck are you talking? What the fuck are you saying, you fucking asshole? This is all muscle.
Well, according to some of your recent videos on Cameo, you seem to probably still look out of shape and also intoxicated as fuck.
Hey, you shut the fuck up. This is muscle. This is all muscle. It's all this is. I'm a demon. This ain't nothing but cold steel and sex appeal right here, baby. That's all this is. Right here.
So you're saying you're not fat, you're just big boned.
It's muscle.
You're just big boned.
Yeah, fuck you guys. I'm hanging out. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
What a fucking asshole.
I can't believe you just Neil, man.
Yeah, fuck, who cares?
I let you do the interview, and you go and do this, man. I'm really disappointed in you.
Listen, it's not my problem. He's a fucking dickhead.
What's up, my fellow Gunners? This is Jeff Noon from GNR Central. Just wanted to wish Chris and Dustin a happy 1 year on the mic over there at GNR Radio. It's been fun being on twice, and look forward to a couple more years and runs in the future. Crack a beer, you've earned it. Coming in at number 5. Wow, fucking number 5. You guys put me right in the fucking middle. Anyways, number 5, the top 10 GNR Radio moments in the last year is, and it better not fucking be me, assholes.
I've got another question. I'm noticing Axel's wearing skin-tight leather pants in this. Signature move of the 80s. I've never worn any myself, but never mind. I'm not going to finish that thought.
No, go ahead, man. Fuck it.
Okay, so you know how it's always hot in LA, right?
Yeah.
Like it's always like kind of a summery temperature. I can be walking around outside in fall temperatures where it's like 70 degrees, maybe between maybe 60, 65. And then, you know, like if you walk around, like you go to a festival, you wear shorts, you don't wear jeans, because what happens if you wear jeans to a festival? You're getting chafed as fuck, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, jeans don't have a lot of airflow in them, but they've got to have more than those leather fucking spandex skin-tight goddamn pants.
Yeah, fuck.
So, all I can think about right now when I see, because Axel runs and does, like, he puts a lot of energy out in one of his songs or in a performance.
Oh, dude, any live performance, I think.
All I can
in the
think
90s.
about is Swamp Ass from Hell.
Oh my god. Swamp Ass and fucking Major Dick Sweat.
Oh, buh. That's why you have people to clean your laundry after.
Yeah.
I guess that's why. You know what? This is the first one, so I think maybe he learned a lesson after this. Because I know after this he was wearing those little bitty shorts for so long. Maybe that's behind.
Oh yeah,
the
he wouldn't
scenes.
come out with any fucking pants. Yeah, he's wearing like, oh, here's a bulletproof vest. Yeah, as a kilt, it was like a bulletproof vest and like boxer briefs. I'm like, what this is? I was like, is this Guns N' Roses or like the Chippendales all male review? We're just like fucking fuck clothes.
But see, dude, that's what we've done here. We've come up with something here. We've made an insight that nobody else has made yet. I think we may have discovered something here. I think we may have figured out why Axel went through the short kilt stage.
Okay, so we're up to number 4. And before we play this next clip, I do want to say, you know, we were getting some of our friends here and past guests and stuff to come on and introduce these clips and stuff. And for number 4, I wanted to get our friend Dwayne on the phone. I mean, for those of you that have listened to the Rick Dunsford podcast, you have heard the stories about Dwayne. And he's a really funny guy. And I think probably I felt it was best not to just have Dwayne introduce one of these, but since all of the stories that we tell about Dwayne on Rick's show is about us, how we prank Dwayne and prank him all the time.
And how he's the most gullible motherfucker ever.
He's easy to get on the phone. I'll say that. He is easy to get on the phone. But we've got a prank call, a brand new, for the first time in 11 years. I prank called Dwayne. And I did it to get him to introduce this next segment, but without his knowledge. So he doesn't know that he's introducing something on here. He thinks he's doing a radio interview or something else. And I will say this in advance. I know I've called Dwayne homophobic in the past, and I really don't think that's a fair way of calling. I really don't think that's a fair thing to say. I think probably he's less that Dwayne is homophobic and more that he's really scared of other people thinking he's gay because he's from the South. And you'll see what I mean in this clip right here.
Roll it.
Hello?
Hey, is this Dwayne?
Yeah, who's it?
Hey, Dwayne, my name is Jack Burgess. I'm from KPRD in Los Angeles. The reason I was calling you is because we got your information from Rick, and he said that you would be willing to participate in a radio thing that we're doing about the history of music in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Well, first off, thank you for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. What we want to do is we're counting down right now, part of the weekend. It's an all-weekend event, and we're counting down the top 10 greatest moments in music history.
The 20 greatest moments, you said?
No, it's the year 2020. You're saying it's the number 3. We're having you introduce the number 3. Yeah, but say your name. Say this is Dwayne from D&D Booking, and it's time for the number 3 moment of 2020.
Yeah, this is Dwayne from D&D Booking. This is top 20, and this is the number 3 greatest moment in 2020.
Awesome. Great job, man. Hey, do you have time to stick around for a quick interview? We're actually about to go, we're actually about to come back from commercial.
All right.
Give me just a second here. Let's see. Oh, they're counting us down now. Is that okay? Can we interview you just maybe 3 minutes tops?
Okay.
All right, here we go. We're coming. 5, 4. Welcome back to KPRD Radio, Los Angeles' hottest gay pride radio station. A homosexual promoter of music in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Hold up.
Can you tell us about when was the time that you first came out of the closet?
What are you talking about?
Well, how long have you known that you were a homosexual?
I'm not homosexual. Strictly pussy, man.
What? Oh, no. Oh, that's no good, son. Oh, man. Oh, God, we're getting calls. Our light board's lighting up. Are you a homophobic bigot?
No, not at all. I love gay people.
Then why would you pretend to be gay just to get on a gay pride radio station?
No, you didn't say nothing about it. Rick told me the other night that they wanted to interview me because he told me that I used to do shows. Yeah, I did shows. That's been 2011.
2011 is part of the history of music. Well,
yeah. What's that have to do with gayness?
Well, it's music. There's a lot of gay people.
But what does it have to do with being gay?
Hang on 1 second. We're gonna work this out. We'll figure this out, folks. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back right after this. All right, we're off the air. Listen, Dwayne.
Called about this shit. I mean, why don't Rick's pulling pranks on me or something?
I'm just gonna level with you here, man. People think you are pretending to be gay just to get on our radio station, and callers are blowing up our phones right now, furious about it.
Holy shit. That is crazy. Did the people really call up there mad?
Yeah, they were blowing up the switchboard. I couldn't take any of the calls because everybody was using 4-letter words, and we can't say that on the radio.
Dude, how many people listen to this radio station?
In Los Angeles, somewhere between 11 and 12 million.
You're fucking shitting me. Holy fuck. Are you serious, dude?
On a Saturday afternoon, this is... You're on the evening drive. It's 4...
Damn, man.
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh my god, dude. This is fucking crazy. I thought evening news was at 5.
We're in a different time zone.
Oh, shit, man.
Hang on a second. I got an idea. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back on the air, and we're going to say that you were just kidding about all that you really are gay, and then maybe that'll make everybody not be so mad at you then. If they think that, you really are gay and you were just nervous about being on the radio.
Why can't we just tell them I'm cool with gay people? I got a few gay friends.
Oh, it doesn't work like that around here.
That makes no sense.
We're going to go back on the air. We're going to say that you were just kidding, and that you really are gay, and that you were just playing and you were just kidding about all of that. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to KPRD, Los Angeles' finest gay pride radio station. We're back here with Dwayne from D&D Bucket in Tupelo, Mississippi. And Dwayne's got something he wants to say, folks. Go ahead, tell him, Dwayne.
Am I live on the radio?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't tell me what I was supposed to say.
Dwayne was just kidding. He was kidding about not being gay, folks, so don't bombard him and everything.
I wasn't kidding. I was not kidding. I'm not gay, I promise.
Oh.
I don't have nothing against gay people. I like gay people. I've had a lot of friends in the past that were gay. But me, no.
Listen, I don't know why Dwayne is being like this when we go on air. When we're off air and we're talking in private, he told us all he was gay and that he wanted to come up and tell everybody, the 12 million listeners for K Pride Radio. And so we gave him another chance to make this right by all of you guys.
No, I didn't.
And unfortunately, it seems like, listen, we don't want you guys to harass Dwayne, okay? Do not call him at 662.
Oh my God, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Dude, you fucked me, really. You fucked me. If there's millions of people that listen to that radio station, really? And
Don't come to his house,
oh my God.
even though he lives at 17.
Oh my fucking God.
But anyway, I'm Jack Burgess for KPRD Radio, and it's time for the number 4 greatest moment of 2000.
Code for, I don't need to say what it's code for because we're all adults here.
Marijuana.
But
April,
I've only had, I'm not an avid partaker in that
marijuana,
those numbers, but I've only had one occurrence, and it sticks with me because it's hilarious and only makes me look bad. So one time I live in South Philly, and a friend I know lived in Lake Tahoe, and he sent over brownies that were, of course, laced with a certain
marijuana.
thing. I've never done anything. I had 2 days off from work the next days. I lived with a bunch of friends. We were just like, you know what? If there's any time to do it, I have 2 days off. If if anything happens, I can just sleep all day. So I don't know anything about it. This was maybe like 5 years ago. I'm going to be honest, 5 or 6 years ago. I eat like a good quarter of a brownie. You probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Takes a little while, and I'm like, okay, like I don't feel anything. And then all of a sudden I started noticing my friends laughing at me. And I think it's probably because they were getting into it too, but I started feeling weird because I started getting paranoid because I felt like I had to poop. And I thought they were laughing because I was like, they knew that. So I was just sitting there all paranoid, and I thought I was pooping myself.
Holy shit.
And I actually thought I was legitimately pooping myself. And so what I did was I got up really slowly, went to the steps, but went up my steps backwards because I was afraid that I pooped myself and there was just poop all over my pants for some reason. I obviously don't know how this works, so it's the first time I'm experiencing it. So I walk backwards up the steps, go in the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my God, like my brain is going on fire. I'm like, I'm about to drop my pants and there's going to be shit everywhere. I dropped my pants. I was like, there's nothing. I'm like, okay, there's probably shit in my boxers. I'm scared. I don't even want to look. I drop my boxers. There's no shit. And I just sit on the toilet for like, I think I passed out on the toilet for the rest of the night. I think somebody came in and wound up getting me. But I was so sure that it was like all down my leg. And I told people the story, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, marijuana. I don't know. I never want to do this ever again. The story is more nasty than embarrassing. But over time, I'm just like, I don't care to tell it because it's the one story I have. So I'm just going to cherish it. It's fucking disgusting. Like, I'll just say that right now.
Hey, this is Rick Dunsford, and this is the number 3 greatest moment of season 1 of Guns N' Radio's podcast.
For those guys, with a lot of fans, even Buckethead, with a lot of guys, there was no winning in that scenario.
Yeah, but I feel like Buckethead was probably like the best person to replace Slash because he's just fucking insane.
Yeah, and he was completely different too.
Oh yeah, just hearing the stories of the Chinese democracy recording sessions is fucking something else.
Oh my God! First off, I would have. I don't care how good your guitaring is. I would never put up with some of the shit that they put up with. Do you think Axl's bad? He didn't build a fucking chicken coop in the goddamn studio with dog shit in it. Axl's and then sit around watching hardcore porn in it.
Oh my God.
In between sets. That is the most fucked up shit. That's almost that's the second most fucking weirdest rock and roll scenario I've ever heard. The first one is Gigi Allen throwing his shit at people. That is worse. But then
there's actually
because the reason that's worse is because that gives people like you and me the opportunity to get swept up into this bullshit too.
Yeah.
like, what if we're just, walking through a club, like, oh, hey, look, there's Gigi Allen. He's going to be playing there tonight. No, this might be, let's go. I like punk rock. Gigi Allen, we'll go check that out. All right, this might be fun. And then all of a sudden, whoa, what the fuck? We're getting shit hurled at us. And, yeah.
Jeez. There's another like Buckethead story from the recording sessions. It was like a few days like after 9/11 happened, and they're showing like sort of like the aftermath, whatever. And then there was apparently a KFC that got like attacked somewhere. Like I don't know if it was in the States or like overseas. They're showing something about a KFC getting attacked on the news, and Buckethead's like, "Fuck this! I'm out of here. I'm joining the army," and nothing got recorded that day. Don't attack the man's fucking chickens.
God. I don't think I've heard that one yet, actually.
Yeah, there was like some article. I think they were interviewing like Zutot when he was like on the project.
Man, could you imagine these guys? They've worked with all these great bands over the years. Normally, when somebody gets to work with them, they're grateful that they're getting to work with these guys.
Oh yeah, totally.
Now you've got Buckethead coming in. Like, I understand refusing to work after 9/11, taking a little bit of a break, getting your head back together, getting calmed down, because that was a hard day for everybody. I know I'm a little older than you.
No, I was still around when that happened, so.
I was around.
Yeah. I was there. I was a youngin', but I was there. I still remember.
I was old enough to... I was in high school, right? So I get it. I get, everybody's nervous, everybody's shook up. It shook up everybody.
Absolutely.
And then, you might have to calm down, but then think about that. That isn't what does it. The tower, thousands of people dying. No, but then a KFC gets blown up or something.
We're going to war.
And I'm joining the army.
Motherfucker love this KFC. What can I say?
I don't think the army would have put up with a chicken coop full of dog shit.
Yeah, and they got so pissed. The best was he got pissed. They took it out because it stuck up the whole fucking building. I like that smell. You're fucked.
You're fucking stupid.
Hey, it's Brando from Appetite for Distortion here, wishing a happy 1-year anniversary to the Guns N' Radio podcast. Mazel tov, Chris and Dustin. You've talked about Guns N' Roses for an entire year, and you're not bored yet. Here is the number 2 moment of Guns N' Radio's first year.
So it's basically like the members, like anyone who's ever been in GNR, and that's probably at least like a good 20 people, whoever, who would be like their pro wrestler counterpart, like in terms of like not always looks, but also like personality wise and such as well. Like who would they be like the equivalent to in like pro wrestling? For my actual one, I was a little torn because I was kind of like in between like. I thought Savage because like they both have like these like unique voices and they're both always fucking paranoid about something.
There's some shit going on there, brother.
Yeah, like these like larger than life characters in a way, or he could also be like a Hulk Hogan. And then again, that goes along with Chris Pimment being Jimmy Hart and Dizzy Reed being Brutus Beefcake. Yeah. Yes, 2010 Axel is Hulk Hogan, but like the Great Value like George Walmart brand clothing line.
Well, let me tell you something, Ashba.
Then again, who would Ashba be? Shit.
I couldn't think of nobody for DJ. I tried. I've got it. I wrote down DJ Ashba, then I scribbled it out. That's a good one. Let's think about it. How you got?
I'm thinking since I don't know. I'm just putting like I'm just doing a connection here. DJ Ashba kind of looks like a knockoff Chris Angel. And there was a knockoff Magic wrestler called was it Fantasio? I think.
Oh my God, that's mean. It's funny. It's funny, but it's mean. But funny. Oh man, that was a fun bit.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, it's your boy Matt Manzella here, dropping in to wish my friends at the Guns N' Radio podcast a happy 1-year anniversary. Congrats, Chris and Dustin. And without further ado, here's the number one moment of Guns N' Radio's first year.
We decided we were going to do a music video watch along. Now, sometimes on this show we do a bit. There's two separate bits. There's the epic music video watch along and the shitty music video watch along.
Yeah.
Caputo, where would you place this one that we're about to watch?
For me, I would place in somewhere in the middle. But a lot of other people would say it's controversial at best. And I mean, it's only apropos because, like, today, since we're recording this, the hashtag glory holes was trending in Canada. You want to know why? The government here, I believe, released some shit about having sex in a pandemic.
What?
This is actually the government of British Columbia, not like Canadian, but in BC. So it says steps to protect yourself during sex. The best part is they're saying, oh, before and after sex, wash your body with soap and water. Wash your sex toys. Obviously, if you don't, you're a fucking sadistic person.
No fucking shit.
Yeah, they're saying wear a face covering or a mask. Heavy breathing can cause droplets to come out.
Oh my God. Dude, at my age, I can barely breathe during sex as it is. What the?
Yeah. Choose sexual positions that limit face-to-face contact. So basically doggy style for 45 minutes. The best is, though, why this is trending. It says use barriers like walls, in brackets, example, glory holes that allow for sexual contact but prevent close face-to-face contact.
Wait, the government in Canada is recommending going to the glory.
Columbia. This is like all the way on the fucking west coast there.
I didn't know any of this before we started recording.
Because of that, and Thor's like, wow, what the fuck? The government wants you to put your dick through a wall, and you don't know what's on the other side. So, like, at the end of the day, you think it's preventing COVID? It's gonna be even worse. Or if anything, just get like a paper bag, put a cutout, and if you're doing it with your significant other, just put, like, after, give you a nice budget, whatever, through with the bag covering.
I wish I'd known this before we started recording, man. We could have made a whole bit of Canadian sex tips.
Sex tip, yeah, there you go.
Oh man, while I compose myself. And now it's time for Canadian sex tips with Chris Caputo.
Sex tip number 1: do not bring maple syrup into the bedroom. It could get sticky.
Yeah, man, that's a whole different animal there in Canada.
Dude, you have killed me. Like, I was building up, like, you put the brakes on me, just so you know. Like, I'm fucking crying. My fucking ribs and lungs hurt. My God, I think I had an aneurysm because now I'm sweating.
So, in honor of glory holes.
I forget how actually new this is.
Really?
Yeah. This is round about the time I met Izzy.
Oh, 2012, yeah.
I think he was wearing that.
Probably.
All right, let's take a look at the lyrics. I'm gonna make a quick pause. My baby ran away to Vietnam, and my dog just salivates. She told me later, "Yeah, I'm surely mad. No need to turn back." Yeah, I was in Nam once.
What?
Hey, you didn't know about that? When I served in
No.
Vietnam.
Unless you're like lying to me about your age and you're like a war veteran or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't know your old boy Dustin Bones was a war veteran?
What? No,
I've got a
this
patch. I've
this
got
is
the
a
I
new.
was in Vietnam patch. You don't just get those. You can't just buy those at Walmart.
Are you fucking with me?
All right, so let me tell you what happened, man. So there I was. All right, we were raiding a school one day. It was a school for the blind, and we were going through, and it should have been an easy mission, because kids, they're blind, they're running around, running into walls and all this other shit, and so I mean, I'm going through, and I just thought I'd make quick of it, because I wanted to make it a quick day, because the captain said that if we made it a quick day and we got this school good and bombed, then we could take the rest of the day off. So I was like, sweet. So I'm going through, and I'm just going through each classroom, just throwing in a grenade, like sweeping, just trying to get it done.
Yeah.
And then I saw a Coke machine, and I was getting really thirsty, because man, blowing shit up can really get you parched. So I saw a Coke machine, and I wanted a Coke. So I go over to the Coke machine, and I put $1 in the machine, and it sucks it in, and then it spits it back out. And so I'm like, what the fuck? So I take it, I rub it on the side of the machine. Now keep in mind, all around me, shit's blowing up. There's children screaming. There's all this, like it was in Nam, and machine guns going off all around me, and I'm rubbing the dollar on the side of the machine, trying to flatten it out to get it to go in, and it just keeps spitting it out. And so I see a kid. I see a kid get shot right in front of me. And then I notice, he's got, and then I see his lunch money fall out of his pocket. And I realize I'm using an America dollar. This takes a Vietnam dollar. Stupid me. So I bend down and I take the Vietnam dollar from the little kid that just got blew up. Because let's be honest, he doesn't need it anymore. And I put it, and then I put it in the machine, and my Coke comes out. And then as soon as I got my Coke out, one of my buddies, I got hit with some friendly fire, and it just missed me, but it hit the side of the can, and it blew up the side of the can, and I never did get to drink my Vietnam Coke. It was a sad day. It was in Nam. So I was thirsty. So yeah, we finished with the school, and then, it turns out the captain lied to us, because we thought we were just bombing this school that day. Turns out we had to do 2 churches too. Can you believe that?
What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, those women and children didn't kill themselves. I mean, we were pretty busy in Vietnam.
I hope they didn't.
Yeah, that's one of my war stories.
Jesus fucking.
I don't even know when that was. Okay. I wouldn't drive to fucking LAX either, and I'm going to tell you guys, that place fucking sucks. They made me sleep on the ground, on the goddamn ground.
Hey, don't worry. I was going to say, I slept probably in a worse airport on the ground, and it was in fucking Lansing, Michigan.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
She took my good suitcase. Yeah, my baby ran away to Vietnam. God just looked great.
Oh, that reminds me. When he says, my baby ran away to Vietnam, the dog just licked his plate. One time, when we were on one of our Vietnam missions, we were getting ready to bomb an Applebee's, because we were thinking that we could get some free food here. So I was there, and then we knocked out the Applebee's, and we ran all the people off, and luckily some of them had gotten their food, and it was still hot, like they just came out when we come storming in. And so we sit down at the table and we go to eat, and then I swear to God, a pack of wild dogs ran into the Applebee's and took my steak right off my plate. I didn't even get to eat. And then the general said that if I was a real man, I would have killed that dog and ate that instead. And so I didn't even get to eat that day. Decorated war. I did get a medal for that one, because I blew up their ice cream machine, and it turns out there's a medal for that. So, go figure. President Reagan? No.
President
What-
Republican, probably.
Whatever president was the president when we. It's been a long time ago.
She bought a ticket, she ain't coming back. Said, some of you little kids. My baby ran away to Vietnam. Left the one child on the plate. She told me later I ain't coming back. Said, no return date. She never talked about the day. She took off and ran away. Yeah.
I think this rocks.
This is a cool little like section here.
My baby ran away to Vietnam. I'm on that eastbound plane. I'm gonna catch her, gonna drag her back on that train. My baby ran away to Vietnam, but the dog stayed in LA. I know that in a minute I'm coming back. You just have to wait. My baby ran away to Vietnam. My baby ran away to Vietnam. My baby ran away to Vietnam. My baby ran away to Vietnam.
Baby Rann. And I don't know any of those guys but one. And that's unfortunate because they're great musicians.
Oh yeah, I mean this is actually not a bad song.
No, I mean, of the Izzy songs we've reviewed, I would say it's up there for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it's always like instrumentally wise, like it's always good. But like I don't know, to me these lyrics sound like he's about to tell a story about someone running away from Vietnam, and then like is like Alzheimer's kicks in, and he starts talking about his dog or something. It's like I don't know what's fucking going on here, man.
He never gets around to it.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to get to like start a story, and then like his dog won't shut the fuck up, and it's like my dog's over there fucking licking himself like a slut. Stop licking yourself, god damn it. God damn it. Gotta stop licking your balls just because you fucking do it.
Vince McMahon. is that going to be our official Izzy impression now? Vince McMahon.
No, I was trying to go for more like an old man like yelling at old man yells at cloud. Like fucking Abe Simpson over there.
Quit that shit. Quit licking your balls.
Like Clint Eastwood comes out with his fucking shotgun. It's like, your kids get the fuck off my lawn. I'll blow your fucking cocks off. Don't touch my fucking Gran Torino.
Chocolate titties. I want to say before we go, I don't mean any disrespect to real Vietnam veterans or anything like that. I'm just having fun. It was just a joke. All those stories are true, though. Yeah. Ratings.
The final ratings of season 1.
I know, right?
Yeah. I'll let you go first on this one.
Me? Okay.
Yes.
I like this song. I listened to it. I admit, I listened to it before the show, and not like before we taped, but I've heard this song before a couple of times, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy it. As far as a song goes, will it go into my playlist? I don't know if I'd manually put it there, but if it comes up on my shuffle, I definitely won't be changing the channel. The solo is really good. Give it that, and it does rock, and it is something I can sing along with. So 4 out of 5.
Oh wow, okay. Feeling generous here.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, like now that I'm thinking of it, like I just listen to this now, it kind of sounds like that Slash song with Lemmy. Kind of sounds a bit like Dr. Alibi to me. I don't know, maybe.
It isn't that same kind of vein.
Yeah, very like fast paced. Like the riffs kind of sound like a tad similar.
Hmm.
It's true. So that's why like I kind of like it instrumentally wise, but like if it had better lyrics, I would probably give it more of a four, maybe 4.5 territory. But to be honest, I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 out of
Okay.
5. Yeah.
I see what you mean though. Like, but I mean, you got to give it credit. I mean, it's Izzy, so it could have easily just been "Baby Ran, Baby Ran, Baby Ran, Baby Ran."
That's true, but I know Izzy can do like so much better. Like there's a few other songs like we reviewed Old Tune. That was a really good song. I like that
Yeah.
one. There was fuck that acoustic one we covered. I don't remember the name of it. It was off.
Don't
Yeah, that was off his acoustic album. That was a really good one. Oh, I
don't
think.
get me the line.
Oh, hang on. We're gonna find this right now. We literally we're forgetting everything, even though we've done almost 60 episodes.
Yeah, a
Like holy
song.
shit.
I love how even a GNR song will come up, and then I'll have to go off air and be like, "Caputo, we reviewed that yet?"
Yeah. Oh, that's what it seems to me. That was a good one. I like.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. And I admit though, "Here Comes the Rain" has really grown on me over
A
the.
little bit here on my end. In due time, it does. Because now it's all I think about when I hear it rain. I like hear like in my head, it's like like flashbacks. Goes, here comes the rain, and then here it comes. So that's why I feel like I'm like Storm from the X-Men. I'm just predicting fucking weather here,
With Izzy Stradlin.
controlling the clouds and just like throwing lightning upon all my enemies. Fuck you.
Well, you ready to spin the wheel and see what's going to be the first song of season 2, which is coming next week. We're not taking a break, folks.
Yeah, fuck breaks. We're like wrestling, except we are not independent contractors, and we'll still be on all our third party outfits there.
Be sure to go over to GN Extra, by the way, where we're going to tell a story about WWE's Tom Phillips, who was scheduled to appear in this episode but didn't get to make it. Plus, we're also going to do the, what do we call it? Redemption songs?
Oh, Ratings Redemption on Gen Extra. Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, that's happening in just a few moments. Okay, now let's spin the wheel for real.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Oh, all right. So this is like a cover they did, I believe.
Yes, I think this is on Live Era.
Yeah, this is that Black Sabbath cover they used to do during the Illusions era.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that next week. We'll be reviewing that song on the season premiere of Guns N' Radio. But first, before we go, there's 2 more surprises in store for you guys on this already stacked episode.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, I'm telling you about this. Elon Musk. I was actually in contact with him this week while
really?
we were doing the show and everything, and he has been good enough to let me borrow one of his space rockets. Believe it or not, it's true. And so, what we're going to do is I'm going to get in that rocket right now, and we're going to take it to the moon, and we're going to put a Guns N' Radio flag on the moon as a giant publicity stunt.
Fuck yeah!
And this is for real, folks. This is happening. So hang on one second. Let me just go over here and let me just.
Okay, Chris, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you see me? Am I coming through?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right, so hang on. Let's get this thing turned on here. Oh, here it goes. Woo-hoo! Hey, this is fun, Chris.
He's flying.
Oh my God. Am I obviously not fake spaceship? Everything's so beautiful from up here. I'm in orbit right now. Was the rocket supposed to shut? Okay, they weren't supposed to shut off yet. Oh, fuck. Hang on. It won't start. Something's
Dustin, you still there?
Oh, fuck, Chris.
Oh no, what'd you do now?
Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can still kind of hear you.
Holy fuck.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh, fucking cliffhanger.
Hello? I don't know what happened here. I think he's gone. Oh well. Here's Paradise Kitty closing us out. Hopefully we'll see you all next week on Guns and Radio. Peace.
All right, we're going to take a little pause for a second so me and Chris can tell you